Did you miss me, Sasquatch? Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I needed yesterday. I'll explain it here as soon as I go to my face cam. I needed yesterday because I was trying to fix some stuff, but in trying to fix some stuff, I actually figured out more than what I had planned to, which has made things both. I think generally it's a net positive for me. So that's good then. Yeah, I'll explain it here in a second. It'll make sense once I explain it, and you'll be like, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But the problem is, like, making perfect sense in hindsight is always the way things work. But when you're like going through it, you know, it doesn't always make sense. So, let's see what we can do here. Trying to get everything set up. Trying to get everything set up. That's all we got to do, right? You see 355? Yeah, we broke 350. We broke 350. So that was pretty impressive. Definitely impressive. Get shareable link. Pretty excited by it, honestly. Honestly, pretty excited. I know it might not seem that exciting, but honestly, it's pretty exciting to me. 355 is really good for. I think I got almost 40 subs in 2 days. So, we'll take it. We'll take it. I ain't gonna get too mad about that. My last couple things up and running, and then we'll get started, right? All right. Get it rolling, I guess, right? All right, we got messages, we got freaking comments we got to go through, which isn't that big of a deal. We'll start looking at some news. Fortunately, today isn't only, right? Like, fortunately, today isn't only going to be just Minnesota. We're going to be talking about Minnesota some today, but it's not all Minnesota. So that is actually a pretty good thing. We got some Minnesota to talk about. We got some Supreme Court to talk about. We got the Fed to talk about. What else do I have? The new Tomb Raider. Do I think Trump sending troops in? Personally, yeah. I think that here's what I think. I think if Trump, based on a lot of the footage we've seen coming out, and I'll go over that here in a little bit. The protesters are going beyond protesting quite far, right? Like, and we'll go over it, but basically they're like breaking down fences. They're breaking into cars. They're actively like spreading water on the roads to freeze it, to make it impossible for like ice to get around. They're attacking counter protesters. They're spray painting stuff. It's borderline a full-blown riot. So what I think is going to have to happen is I could see Trump what is it, not enacting, but basically like using I could see Trump using the Insurrection Act to put troops there, and I think you're going to get the mayor and a few other people pretty mad, but at the end of the day he's within his right to do it, and there's enough footage that can be shown to justify it. And I think that once you go in, they need to get the mayor and the governor out. Based on what I'm seeing, they're definitely very heavy enablers, and I don't think that's right. So I think you declare the Insurrection Act, you bring in like media, people with cameras to actually film what's really happening, and then you just start putting people in jail. And once you start putting people in jail and you start making real consequences for people who are breaking the law, then I think everything calms down really fast, because it's not going to escalate, right? Like, what are they going to start shooting? What are they going to, are these protesters going to start shooting National Guards members, right? Like, what is their end goal here? Because once the National Guard shows up, they either shut the fuck up or they start shooting the National Guard. You don't think that's going to turn public sentiment against them really fast? If they start actively like hurting Guards members who are just there to like keep the peace, it's never going to work out well for them. Public sentiment will change so fast that I think they're going to have to back down. And based on the stuff I'm seeing coming out, like, obviously we put a video out on this yesterday about how the clips and stuff. What up, Thebe? We put a video out on this yesterday about like the clips and shit like that are edited in a way to like manipulate people. And I saw one the other day, and I can't find the full clip, but I've seen a lot of context around it. Basically, it sounds like there were concussion grenades and smoke grenades that were thrown, and a car drove over top of them. And then like the gas and everything got in. They had to take the kids, like the person's like kid, to like the ER or whatever. But a lot of this stuff definitely seems like people are doing it to themselves, or people are putting themselves in situations to have it happen. So at this point, the rhetoric is so heated, and the protesters are there, people are there being like agitators, like actively trying to cause problems, that I genuinely don't know how you stop it unless you go in and just shut it down militarily. Because your choice is that you have two choices. One, go in and shut it down. You just go in and you stop it. And if you go in and you stop it and you can prove that you're in the right, you're gonna have mad people. You're gonna have people say it's an overreach, but it's stopped. Option two, you back down. And if you back down, then you reinforce people's and if you back down, you reinforce the narrative that it's okay to do this because you win. And that is not a precedent that we really need to set right now. So I kind of just feel like you have to go in and just shut the shit down. That's where I'm at on this. I just think it's too far out of control right now. There's no reason for it to be as escalated as it is. And we've talked about it numerous times on the channel. It's one side trying to make it worse for the other side instead of just letting people come in and do their jobs. Let people come in and do their jobs. And if it's a problem, fight them in court. You can protest, you can demonstrate, but we're well beyond that now. How's Steve doing, man? You at work? It's just so far beyond any sort of like common sense, and it just pisses me off. I'm just lack of the common sense. I'm just pissed at the lack of common sense. Work from home today, man. Good chill day then. What are we doing for lunch? Let's answer some. I think we have a couple comments, not too many. Okay, we have quite a few comments to try to get through. We'll get through as many of them as we can. We have a lot of comments. We'll do what we can to try to get through some of these, but I don't know that we'll get through all of them. Worst case scenario, I'll have to deal with some of them. Well, like worst case scenario, we'll just like some of them or talk from them. They're helping illegals, wanted for bad things, murders, violent, blah, blah, blah. Agents aren't just going in random houses. There may be violent predators here illegally. I don't like it. None of them live in reality. Dude, not anymore. All right, let's do that. Just saw his video, dude. It's gonna get worse. Sad. Lemon's irrelevant now, dude. He's fighting for his life. No stream yesterday? No. Oh yeah, let me go over that. We'll talk about that really quick. So I didn't stream yesterday, and I kind of mentioned it on I mentioned it on stream Wednesday, but basically I didn't stream yesterday. So the reason I didn't stream, I really need to get a new cover for mine. It's not bad, but like it bothers me. The reason I didn't stream yesterday is because I have been unable to catch up on like YouTube, right? Like I want to get YouTube videos, I want to get YouTube shorts, I want to get TikToks, I want to get X posts. Like I want to expand the channel, I want to expand the reach, I want to get more people involved in the community. I want to grow so I can continue to do this full time, right? Like in an ideal world, I want to be able to do this full time. I've been doing it full time. I don't want to back down unless I have to, right? So I absolutely want to do this full time. So I've been like just getting so far behind. I haven't been able to schedule all the tweets that I haven't been able to schedule any tweets. I haven't been able to like get near as many. I haven't scheduled any TikToks in like 2 days. Barely been able to schedule YouTube shorts. Just like the amount of content that I have to cut and edit. I have to make thumbnails. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like I think my thumbnail game's pretty good. Yes, I use like ChatGPT and I use like other things to like help me try to make them, because I mean I'm not an artist, right? So like I sometimes I use help, but like so does Tyler Oliveira. Like this is done with ChatGPT or Grok or something. Like a lot of these people do it. But I still have to like go through and figure out how I want to do it. But I do think my thumbnail game is gotten pretty good, because a lot of this is just composition me doing. Like every once in a while I'll have to use like something to help me out, but for the most part I think it's just composition. Anyway, all this takes a lot of time. All of this takes a lot of time, right? And coming up with like titles and all of this. It all takes a ton of time. So because I've been putting in so much work, and then if you've seen my new YouTube shorts, I've been editing them different. I've been trying to make them better. Anyway, TLDR. I've been spending a lot of time on the channel, just trying to make it better, right? And it's paying off and it's paying dividends. The channel's growing. We're getting more exposure. I just can't get caught up. So yesterday I took time off to try to get caught up. We worked on a couple videos. It's looking great. I appreciate it. We took a lot of time off we took time off yesterday to try to work on some stuff. Well, in doing so, I do research for the channel to try to figure out like what's the best practices and what's the best way to do things. So long story short, yesterday while I was working on stuff, I found out that I have been producing a lot of content on the channel, like 4 YouTube shorts a day, you know, 2 to 3 videos depending on the day of the week, 2 videos. Long story short, I'm producing too much content for my channel. And what is happening is YouTube has a system to where it only tests so much of your content per day. So like if you produce like 3 or 4 YouTube videos a day and you're not Asmongold, your videos will not get pushed out. In fact, they won't get tested at all. Most people won't even see the videos. It'll do very small testing and then it'll just shelf the video. The reason they do that is because YouTube only allows so much, not like actual bandwidth, but theoretical bandwidth per creator. So each creator only gets like so much of an opportunity every day. Right. So because of that, and because I've been producing 4 YouTube shorts a day and then 1 to 2 videos, I am basically over the allocation that my small channel has. So then because of that, instead of testing 1 or 2 pieces, or like instead of testing every piece of my content to the fullest extent, it will start testing 1, and then when my next piece of content comes out, it stops testing, moves to the next piece of content, starts testing. And then when the next piece of content comes out, it stops. So what's happening is I had thought that the more content you produce, the more content that would get checked. And it's not what happens at all. At least from what I've been able to determine. If you're a big channel, it's completely different. Like if you're a massive channel, like, you know, Asmongold or Charlie or somebody, it's different. But if you're me, it doesn't work that way. So I've actually been overproducing content in a way that's been, I don't want to say it's been like detrimental to my channel, but it has hurt me. It has hurt me. You're having the same issue with your channel. I saw something that we get max 3 impressions today, and that counts long form shorts and community posts. Basically, Wraith. So from what I've been able to determine, 3 is the magic number. Also, hey, it's been a while. That's all good, man. How you doing? From what I've seen, 3 seems to be the magic number, and theoretically, you want 6 hours between videos and 4 hours between shorts. So if you have a day where you're producing 2 YouTube videos, you either want to produce 0 YouTube shorts or 1 YouTube short, and you want to schedule your videos 6 hours apart, and you want to put your YouTube video or your YouTube short in the dead nuts middle. If you're producing 1 YouTube video, then you can theoretically produce 2 YouTube shorts, and you want to put the video in the middle of your scheduling of your 2 YouTube shorts. And in the best case scenario, you want to allow your video 6 hours to properly seed. Oh shit.
Watch the Minneapolis police chief's reaction.
I haven't seen Asmon's on this. We'll check that out. We'll check it out if we get done talking. I haven't seen Asmon's reaction on this, but I saw the clip as well. We'll watch Asmon's reaction here in a second.
Well, hello there.
We'll watch Asmon's reaction here in a second, though, because we'll do our own afterwards, because this is part of like a segment. But yeah, we'll definitely check it out. But yeah, so TLDR, 20 streams. Jesus Christ, you're cooking. Morning Burns. Rayo, thank you for being here all the time. I love your face. So yeah, so basically I found out yesterday in all of the work I've been doing, and I've been so far behind and I've been so slammed that I haven't killed my channel, but this is one small thing that compounds on top of other things that hurt your channel. So because of that, I can like back down. Oh yeah, because like it's one additional like hindrance I can take off to help my channel, because like yesterday on my channel I posted 2 YouTube videos and 1 YouTube short, and the short was on accident. I planned on posting more, but I forgot to schedule. And yesterday was like one of the better was like one of the best days I've had in a while on just like subscriber growth between like the last 2 days. And some of this is good videos, but there are a lot of other things that go into it. So yeah, so that's the TLDR. So I figured that out. So that helps. So we figured that out. So I still need to produce content, but I don't need to produce 4 shorts a day, 30 days. That's what, 120 shorts a month? Like 120 something shorts a month that I was producing. And I can cut that down to almost by a third. I can still make additional content, like if I want to post more than that on TikTok, but it really slows down the amount of content that I need on YouTube, which is the priority. And then, so that's going to help quite a bit. Now, the reason that it was working and it stopped was because when I had started my new YouTube channel, I didn't have YouTube videos. So I was posting 4 shorts a day. And then on the days where I would post a YouTube video, I would post like 3 shorts or 2 shorts, because that was the strategy I'd come up with. And that worked quite well to get my channel like off of the ground. But then as I started making more YouTube videos, I didn't back the shorts off, because I was like, well, just more is better. And it's not. I have this awkward thing too, where I do a live stream on YouTube as well as 2 long form videos, 2 shorts, community posts. Was not overdoing it, but I was spreading things out enough. Even my long forms being 12 hours apart, because one of my long forms would go live while I was streaming. 100% where you're coming from. I'm trying to get over 1K subs. Yeah, the new changes. I have a video coming out today on my channel where I react to like a big Twitch guru talking about it, and basically the most recent changes to YouTube have hurt every creator. Even the biggest creators are hurt, because there's just less chances for your videos to be shown. I do need to figure out, because I do live stream in the morning, if like my live stream on that channel is hurting. Because if my live stream on that channel is hurting the channel because it's too much content, then I'll stop live streaming over there. Right? I won't live stream. I won't live stream my just chatting. The homepage changes. Well, yeah, like I said, I have this video coming out. Boop, boop, boop. This one right here. I have this video coming out at 3 p.m. So this video is coming out at 3 p.m. This is going to talk about it, but yeah, they made some pretty serious changes. I will have to look, man. If the live streams are hurting me, then I'll definitely stop live streaming, because the live streams aren't near as important as boop boop boop. Live streams aren't near as important as, wait, what was that? What was what? What was what? What was what, Terrell? As 3 impression things, but I've heard for certain a lot of people don't live stream on YouTube. Yeah. I don't know what boop 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 was. Yeah, I'll have to look into it, because if it does, then we'll have to verify some stuff. My channel's too small to do a YouTube Shorts channel, and I think the Shorts are worth more impression. I think the Shorts are worth it more than the live stream. So if it becomes a thing, we'll kill the live streams on the second channel. And then I'll just wait and I'll go live on my gaming channel like 3 hours a day when I switch over to gaming. But then other than that, I'll stop streaming over there, because I don't want to mess it up worse. I can try, like, without the streaming and just make the changes for like a month, and if it makes it better, then it's fine, and if it doesn't, then I can add the stream. You know what I mean? There's like always ways you can look at it, but all right, let's go through these. Let's go through some comments. I gotta get through the comments really quick, and then we gotta move on. Worst case scenario, I gotta answer a bunch of these comments later. I didn't see the handicap in her car. Yeah. She left it at home with her meds. Photo of this woman says enough for me. Knew exactly what she was gonna say. Still funny. I feel this. There's a couple of these comments. I don't think that they're towards me. I think they're towards the video. But, like, I don't know what to, like, it's so hard to respond, because, like, you show your bias by saying one side says ICE is doing illegal things and the other says wait for the complete video. Clip shows everyone claiming things without waiting for the complete video. I'm going to like it because I think that they're talking about the video. Problem is the goalposts get moved every single day. Yep. I like this. I like getting new people that come in and they watch one of my videos and they like my breakdowns and the way I talk about things. So problems the goalpost gets moved every single day. 10 years ago, this is an open and shut case, but now we have judges and lawmakers who take edited videos as gospel. Look at the case in New York 20 years ago. Guys here, 2020s. He's dragged through the court system, getting called a white supremacist and murderer. It's also frustrating, and politicians use people like this woman to promote themselves. Absolutely, they don't care. This is definitely, I think, a referendum on a bunch of different videos, but because I did show 4 different clips in here, so it's fine. Wake up, Americans. You don't like ICE, go vote. Go protest Congress to change the laws. Doesn't give you the right to investigate law enforcement in highly stressful situations. First, appreciate that, man. I appreciate the comment and the view. To see people and to see people falling for obvious bait, right? Omission's the tool of the manipulator based. So can we use those whistles on Planned Parenthood staff, right? If liberals are saying they protect legitimate free speech. I don't really care about this because I'm all for like women's right to choose. So I don't really care about this one. Let's see. Like they're fine to say it or whatever. What do we got here? Sincere hope is that Trump will finally say is enough. Take 4 years to process them. There's a good chance. I kind of feel like there's a good chance the Insurrection Act is going to be invoked. More that's not how you spell insurrection. They spelled it right. Let's spell it the way they did. INSUR. I mean, honestly, as bad as it's gotten, I have a really good chance of seeing it come in. Dude, gotta catch, acting in 8K. Gotta catch the acting in 8K. Alright, let's move this here. Let's keep this going. Alright. Stop doing mental issue, the good thing officers were there to save you. Yeah, basically. Broke the law, you got called out. Yup. Here comes the waterworks, basically. How else would they make you feel? More offended that they have dogs and bring them into harmful situations. Our dog's part of the family. I would never jeopardize for safety. Oh yeah, no, there's a video. I have a whole video about that. Yeah, I either have a video or a short talking about bringing dogs, dude. It's wild. All right, I think we probably have more we could go through. All right, we probably got more we could go through, but let's stop there. All right, let's check this out from Asman, because I'm gonna check this exact same thing out, but I'm almost positive I could almost guess his reaction to this. I better move my camera up. I can almost guess my reaction to this.
When Mayor Frey says he wants cops to fight ICE on the streets.
And we're in a position right now where we have residents that are...
Is this... Oh, it's really crazy that his clip's that bad, but like quality, but what it is.
Asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street. To stand.
Look at his face. He's like, I didn't sign up to stand up here to say this shit. There's no way that he was prepared to hear that. Like, look at his face. Watch his face.
Residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street. To stand.
If this isn't an insurrection, what is? Dude, this guy is having the worst day of his life. This is the second time I've seen protesters bothering someone who they thought were ICE because of the type of SUV they had.
I saw this too. I don't know if Asman's going to show the whole clip in this clip, but dude, this is wild. That basically you have civilians on the street just randomly detaining people and asking them to, what up, sign? I appreciate you, buddy. You basically have random civilians on the street just detaining people and forcing them to prove who they are before they're allowed to do anything.
Here you go. Yeah, like I said, I don't have to do this. I'm happy to do this.
So let me get this straight. These are the people that are angry about profiling, random stops, and warrantless searches who are now profiling, doing random stops, and making warrantless searches.
No, these people don't care about any of those things. These people don't care about random stops. They don't care about searches. They don't care about profiling. They don't care about will being imposed on other people. They only care when it's done to them. And they care because they want to do it to you, right? And this right here is a perfect video that reinforces that entire narrative, right? Which is, and you can see this with all of the clips and all of the videos and everything coming out of Minnesota right now. The only time that they have a problem with it is when you do it to them, but they are more than happy to impose their will on you. They're more than happy to invalidate the mandate that came from the elections. They're more than happy to invalidate what the American people want, because what the American people want is not what they want. So they're happy to enforce their will, to sow divisiveness, to sow chaos, and to make everything absolutely terrible until they get their way. And then once they get their way, they're going to push it even further.
That's all. We just got to stop this.
So he's got a lot of camera equipment.
That's great. Yeah, you're stopping random people.
Yeah, I'm not. I tried to tell the first lady. That's all I
tried to tell the first lady. So this has happened to him twice now.
tell you. I already shot. Listen, first of all, I don't have to do any of that, but I'm kind. I respect the yard. Yeah, no. I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
So now he has to gas them up so they'll let him go.
Yeah, this is so wild. This is what he has to do. They are in a situation where not only can he support their cause, he has to go above and beyond to ensure that they know that he's a good person and that he is on their side. Because if he wasn't on their side, then this would be a completely different conversation.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
So he's being detained and now he's being questioned.
Yes, he was here yesterday. I can testify that. I didn't recognize
I can
him.
testify to that? What is this, a fucking court?
There it is.
I'm not here to help you.
No,
I think the
understand.
fact that you're in a vehicle like this at this
I
time
get it. But with all due respect to everybody, I get a couple way drive.
The Karen Gestapo. Listen to this again.
No, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
I'm not here to help you.
I'm
I
not
think
here
the
to
fact
help
that
you.
you're in a
The fact that you're in a
this at
vehicle
this
like
time-
this.
But with all due
Yeah, the fact that you bought a fucking $90,000 or $100,000 Suburban well before all this kicked off, but now because the immigration issues are showing up, you should sell your $90,000 Suburban or $120,000 Suburban and buy a different car. That way you don't look like the people on the other team.
Yeah, the fact that you're in a vehicle like this is what?
Well, you can. You go rent something else.
You have to go rent something else. Now she's telling him he has to rent a different car.
are you gonna pay for it? That's not how it works.
I think you gotta understand that like, people were kidnapped.
You got to understand that we can detain you for any reason. These people should be arrested for pretending to be officers.
Well, it's just such a joke. You have to understand the way we feel. You have to understand the way we think. You have to respect us. You have to respect our feelings. You have to respect our perspective. But we don't have to respect anything about you. We can disrespect you. We can stop you. We can waste your time. We can tell you how to spend your money. We can demand that you return this vehicle and get a different vehicle. We're in the right, you're in the wrong. And that's all you need to know about these people. And because of that, this person is being harassed.
Hey, listen, let's just wrap this up, okay?
It would be helpful. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's
if
fine.
You guys the first time.
Let's just wrap this up so either way.
They have to bring in the military. They do.
It's just, it's absolutely wild. Is that low key considered a citizen's arrest? I mean, you could maybe make a use case that they're trying to arrest this man, but they're trying to do a citizen's arrest for what, a guy just driving through? You know what I mean? That's where it shows the hypocrisy of the whole situation. It shows that no matter what you do, even if you're on their side, they will just move the goalpost and they will like set up ever increasing purity hurdles for you to jump over. So it's not that he's there. It's not that he's there filming. It's not that he's been there filming for multiple days. It's not that he's there, like him being there trying to show the protesters are in the right, like him taking his time and all this. None of that is good enough. Now they also need him to switch his vehicle, get a different vehicle, and make sure that he physically looks like them and that he spends his time to ensure that everybody knows that he is on their team. And that is where it gets ridiculous. Country just makes me sad these days. I don't understand like when I would say I don't understand like when logic sort of like left, but I would say I don't understand it, but I kind of do, right? There's a spot where I think there's another video where they actually like tear down part of the fence or whatever, but I don't know if there's another video on this. Let me check post engagement. I thought there was one where they were like pulling it down, but I mean, it's not that they're not trying to, right? It's not that they're not trying to. What is this? This is someplace completely different. This is a much higher dollar fence. What is this? This is wild. Country just makes me sad these days. It's not the country, it's just a certain group of people that are just able to get away with whatever they want, right? And this is sort of the problem we're having. And the types of things that we're getting ready to look at are the reason why I think that there's a very good chance that the Insurrection Act might get enacted. And it's for things like this, right? Rioters are attempting to break down the fence outside of the Minneapolis ICE facility. But yet another rioter jumped in and said, we don't have the numbers yet, right? So let's look at this. I mean, it's clear. Let me move my camera back down. I don't like it up there if it doesn't have to be up there. I mean, it's clear here what they're trying to do. I don't know that they're going to be successful, but to try to act like they're not trying to detach this segment of the fence or pull this part of the fence down would be an absolute lie. Now, having said that, obviously you don't need to tear down the fence if it's this easy to walk through. So, I mean, I don't even understand why you're trying to do this to begin with, other than just to be performative. But it doesn't change the fact that even if you can walk in this side, if you break in over there, that should be a crime, right?
Oh shit, they're coming deep. Oh fuck. The gate's open. Oh shit. They destroyed life, dude. It comes really easy.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to me. Let me turn this down some. It's just so frustrating to me how obnoxious this is and how everybody's just acting like it's perfectly normal. Everybody's just acting like this is perfectly normal when you put it online and when you try to discuss it. Everybody's acting like it's perfectly sane to have people with bicycle helmets and, you know, some type of like vest on. Looks like these might have been like army supply vests, gas masks. This is like a surplus military helmet. Like, why is this just normal? What world did this become normal, right? It's edgy. Oh, dude. So this right here. This right here. So this right here. Things like this are not helping the protesters' case that we don't need to start looking at enacting the Insurrection Act. This is another one that I want to talk about. This is another one that I want to talk about that I saw. This is embarrassing, dude. This is wild. So this is another one I want to talk about. Let me turn this down. It's super loud again. Yep. So this is another one I want to talk about. I believe that this person and anybody doing this should have to deal with, how do I want to say this? I feel like this person and anybody else that is doing this should be held liable in the case that something bad happens. So what do I mean there? If this is outside the ICE facility and you are intentionally adding water to the road to try to slow down or impede the officer's ability to do their job, that is a problem, right? Let's look up impede really quick. Let's look up the definition of impede really quick. All right, so here we go. We are going to look up the definition of impede. So let's look up the definition of impede. So impede, it's a verb, right? It means to interfere with or slow the progression of, right? So that's what impede means. So now, let's go to Grok. Right? Let's go to Grok. Let's go to Grok. Grok. Is it illegal to impede federal officers? Is it Let's double check what Grok says. Okay, so here's Grok. Is it illegal to impede federal officers? Right? Is it illegal to impede federal agents? Right? That's what we're looking at. Yes, in general, yes, it is generally illegal to impede federal agents in the U.S. under federal law, particularly when done forcibly or with the intent to interfere with the official duties. Right? So, based on this alone, what they're doing here is impeding federal agents. They are putting this down to slow them down or to make it harder for them to do their jobs, right? That is, there's no real argument that that's not what's happening. We can clearly see it's happening. On top of that, if all of these agitators and protesters are lined up here and you ice the road here, and the officers pull out and they hit this patch of ice and then hit the protesters, whoever was involved in icing the road should be charged, in my view, with manslaughter. Like unintentional manslaughter, whatever you want to say. Accidental manslaughter. Like if somebody gets hurt or killed or something bad happens, whoever iced the road should be charged with it. I don't understand how we can see these types of things happening and nobody can use 3 seconds worth of logic to tell how bad this is. Plus, on top of that, you can literally look up the definition of impede and tell that this person is trying to interfere with law enforcement, which means you should be able to identify that vehicle and, in my view, arrest the person that did it. Like, where does this not make sense, right? I'm so confused right now. It's just, where is any of this make sense, right? I think that the point is the protesters don't really consider ICE law enforcement, and that's another issue. I think that a lot of that has to do with commentators, pundits, and politicians telling people that they don't have to listen to immigrations and customs enforcement. And I think that there's also a big problem with the state and local governments not supplying police officers to help enforce a lot of these laws and issues. You could very easily have law enforcement drive down through here and tell every one of these people that they do not have the right to assemble in the road and they need to back up to the sidewalk, and if they don't do it, they'll all be arrested. Because you don't get to loiter in the road, right? This is where people will argue and they will try to use like intellectual dishonesty to manipulate you into thinking they're right. If you are a random person standing in the middle of an unoccupied or an unused road, are you going to go to jail? No. But I mean, that doesn't mean that in theory you should be allowed to do it, because you shouldn't. So you can go through and enforce these rules and laws in order to compel compliance. That way people aren't emboldened to do worse things. It's just like, it's just, you're seeing stuff like this. And then here's another one. Here are a couple more where I think that we're starting to get to a point. Here's another one where I think we're getting to a point where it's problematic. And they're always going to be but half of them don't live there. They say our streets, but half of them don't live there. Oh no, it's absolutely true. They say our is like a collective our, right? This is one where you're going to have people that are going to argue and they're going to be like, well, it's not, right? You're going to have people that are going to watch this clip and they're going to be like, oh, that's not assault, that's not bad enough, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, as far as I can tell, that says police and not immigrations and customs. But you can watch this and clearly see that people are being emboldened in a way that they shouldn't be emboldened. Like, I can look back a handful of years ago when I was younger. There's no world in which I would have ever considered doing half of this, right?
Shame on you.
So this person here comes out of nowhere, pushes this police officer onto the ground that's trying to move, right? This person here trips a fucking police officer. Okay, now this guy's had enough of a problem. He's going after it. This person comes in and punches a police officer, and then that person kicks a police officer. In what world does this happen? In what sane world does this happen when things are being peaceful? Where were we ever told that it's okay to assault law enforcement when they're just trying to do their job? These people have nothing to do with anything that just happened there. They just all elected to jump in and assault this officer. I think that in this case, I would arrest every person that was there, and I would extend it out further to anybody that even touched the cop, because there seems to be a lot of people that just think they're allowed to be around, and even if they're not doing anything, the fact that they're there is just causing even more chaos, because this officer was just assaulted by like 3 or 4 different people. So now at this point, almost everybody in the area could be a combatant and you have no idea, because everybody's invading law enforcement's personal space, which is hyper dangerous, and this is how you have really bad flashpoints, and this is how things pop off. This whole situation is a problem. Everybody there should have been arrested that was involved with it, and I think you should have maxed out their charges. This is different than being drunk and disorderly and punching a cop because you're drunk. This is, in my view, active, like, malevolence. You're actively being a bad person, right? In a world where the Democratic Party is not in control and they'll do whatever to get back in power. Oh, yeah. They're definitely emboldening bad actors to try to sow divisiveness, but I don't think it's going to work out in their favor. Here's another one that I saw. Here's another one that kind of goes to this point of why I think we're getting in a situation where you're going to have to consider invoking the Insurrection Act. This is what happens when somebody tries to show up and just counter protest and just counter talk, right? Now, I will say, because I'm a big person of saying this, I did not get to see the footage that happened up to the point that all of this popped off. And you can look at this, and it looks like these two here are getting in some type of altercation, or this person is either condescending to this person, or this person is trying to calm this person down, right? But you can see that these two people are going at it. This kid right here already looks mad, like he's ready to pop off. This man is turning away to leave. As soon as he tried to turn away to leave, this dude grabbed him and everything went sideways. I don't understand. And then everybody jumps in. I'm not saying this guy was an agitator, but if you can stand here and call people names and yell at people and cuss them and scream at them and do whatever, and if somebody shows up in your safe space and does the same, and that's all it takes is that type of conversation to be enough to like throw things, you know what I mean? Throw things into chaos, then you already have a major problem. I don't know, man. I just think that Minnesota has definitely gotten to a point where it's sort of reaching an untenable position, and I don't think that you will de-escalate this with rhetoric. I don't think there's any world in which pundits or politicians can come out and be like, okay, guys, I'm sorry. Let me suck the oxygen out of the room. Let's calm this down. I think you've already started it, and you're not going to be able to stop it unless you come in and squash it with overwhelming force. You either have to squash it with overwhelming force, or you are going to have to just let it burn out, right? Let's watch the rest of this. Because in this one here, I showed this guy that was like being like that, right? Like he just like snapped. But let's see this. Let's see what actually happened, right? Here's a little bit more info, right? Here he is with his hat. So this right here, because this is where I said like I didn't see the full video, right? So let's try this. This looks like the pre-video. So let's check the pre-video out and see what happened here.
You ain't gonna do shit. You ain't gonna do shit, bro. Nobody on your side, bro. Don't interact. Don't interact. Stop. Nope. You got him on what you want. Fight him. Say what we're at.
So this right here shows better what happened, right? Which is, it seems like the kid in the blue. So based on this, it seems like the kid in the blue and the guy in the black were arguing. This shows everything more than the flashpoint that we saw. This looks like a Faith. This looks like a Faith face mask. Yo, what up, Psycho? How you doing, baby? How you doing? You having a good day? This right here, let's do this one more time. Let's do this one more time. Again, we are missing a little bit of context here. But it looks like in this video, this guy is a counter protester and this guy is a protester. And from the video, it sounds like this guy's screaming, like yelling this, "You're not gonna do shit," right?
You ain't gonna do shit. You ain't gonna do shit.
Somebody is yelling, "You ain't gonna do shit." These two guys are going at it. This guy comes out of the crowd. I'm assuming a guy comes out of the crowd. Could be a chick, maybe kind of feminine eyes. Can't really tell. Comes out, steals the man's hat. He reaches for his hat. He tries to grab it. This guy instantly escalates to a fist fight when this person here grabbed this person's hat. This right here is why this whole situation is a problem. And this is how this is escalating in a way that doesn't make sense, right? And again, I just watched the video after this, right? So the video after this is this video up here, which I watched originally. And I did say that I didn't see the whole situation, so I didn't understand what was going on. So now that we have the context from down here, let's rewatch this. So it looks like he's standing here. This guy's trying to calm him down. This guy's already mad because he got punched in the face, right? And then obviously he's going to retaliate, which he probably shouldn't have done here. But you can see he's mad. This is just a situation where these flashpoints are being created and it's an entire problem. I will say in the second situation here, in this situation here, this kid should have never re-escalated or re-engaged. And this was bad on his part. But in this one here, from this video, he was not in the wrong. But I could see where he would be mad and frustrated, and still, this is a tense situation. Mildly better. Not gonna dump, just personal stuff. Hope y'all have been well. You can always dump if you need to, Psycho. I'm sorry things aren't going well though. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully they're getting better though. You said they're getting better, right? We'll jump into this here in a minute. I don't think I'm ready to tackle this right now. I'm ready to tackle that right now. Chairman Powell, we'll probably look at this next. This is a pretty easy one to tackle. I think this one's pretty easy to deal with. Let me go get some coffee, guys, and then we'll jump in and we'll tackle this one. We'll try to get through some stuff today. But give me a second, guys. I will be right back. Let me go get some coffee and get a drink. I will be right back. Right, Saga, do we have to send butt rubs your way? Do I need to send Rusty up there to make your day better? Do I need to send Rusty up there to make your day better? All right, boys. After 20 years of violently terrorizing the community of San Francisco, a 44-year-old will finally serve hard time after getting arrested for assaulting a man in an unprovoked attack on BART, which is like, I think, the subway or whatever, in San Francisco. Nah, just kidding. He was released a few days later. This is brought to you by Gavin Newsom, reminding you that crime is down in California. Let's check it out. Let's check it out, right? What is going on here?
Arriving at Embarcadero.
I didn't. See, look out, nigga here. No, you talking about tripping. Give me some money, I'm the Mac.
What is going on here?
Oh my God. Where my money at?
Was this like a drug deal going bad? Or like, why is he asking this man where his money's at?
Give me some money, I'm the Mac.
What in the... Oh, man, this is... All right, so... I saw this video and I was like, obviously this is going to be reposted. This is probably an old video because that's the way the internet works. So there's a news article linked to this around the person in question, right? So here we go. Let's check it out. Sorry for the bright white. You're going to have to deal with it. All right, felon accused of BART attack freed immediately by the San Francisco judge. Immediately. Further details are emerging that last week's unprovoked violent assault of an Asian man on the BART and the astonishing leniency with which the alleged perpetrator, who was already back on the streets, was treated. I appreciate you, Ecto. Where's my coffee? 44-year-old Robert, a violent felon with a two-decade history of mayhem in San Francisco, punched, I would say slapped, but maybe it was punched a defenseless man repeatedly as morning rush hour strap hangers, looked on in horror. In a video widely shared on social media, filmed on January 6th, a man is heard menacing commuters for money in a packed train car. He then lashes out, punching the victim in the face, which offers no resistance. The injured man is shown to double over, clutching his face. Passengers are heard exclaiming in shock as the automated system announces that the train is approaching the station. And then the perpetrator says something racist. I didn't hear the racist thing. Here we go. Mickles was arrested later that morning by BART police. He walked out of the San Francisco County Jail on the 9th, one day after the judge ordered his release. Here's limiting. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So the judge's discretion appeared limited. All right. The judge's discretion appeared limited owing to San Francisco's prosecutor's decision to charge Mickles with a single misdemeanor count of battery and not asking her to keep him locked up. The judge ordered the defendant to attend the Walden House, an outpatient program for drug addicts and mental patients ran by a nonprofit. This is crime, violent crime, is all committed by like the same very small portion of our population, right? Like I think we looked up statistics previously in another video. It's like 1% of all crimes, like all violent criminals commit like 60% of all violent crimes. This person has a long track record and history of doing it. There's absolutely no reason that you should not lock this person up and just charge them with a felony, get them off the streets. Why are we allowing people who are not really helping society and are actively going out and hurting people? Why are we giving them multiple chances to escalate into something that's even worse than assaulting somebody randomly on a subway? I don't understand why this is allowed. I don't understand why these prosecutors are allowed to do this. I don't understand why in today's society we are just letting criminals and violent criminals just run free and letting them do whatever they want and not really caring for the victims. This is one of those situations where it's really funny because when you go to places like California, everybody's advocating for rights for people who are here that aren't here legally. They're advocating for criminals' rights. They're advocating for drug dealers' rights. They're advocating for drug addicts' rights. Like seemingly all of these groups are being advocated for, but nobody's advocating for the public and the general public, who are the ones that are having to deal with the impacts of leaving these types of people on the street. I don't understand when it became more important to protect criminals and people who are actively doing things to disrupt or damage their own life, and when they became a priority over people who are just trying to get around and people who are just trying to live a normal life. I don't understand when or why this happened. I don't understand it. I don't understand how this is okay. Mickles is perhaps best known for December 2014 incident, which he broke into San Francisco apartment building in the early hours and attempted to rob a resident who, unfortunately for him, turned out to be a police officer getting ready to go to work. He fought the officer for his gun, was shot during the melee, and then continued to violently assault him. He was convicted of first-degree robbery, assault, and battery, and sentenced to 6 years in state prison. Prosecutors say Mickles suffers from substance-induced psychotic disorder. This right here is just a nice way of saying that the person is a drug addict. So because they're a drug addict, we are going to dismiss anything bad they do because of substance abuse, and we're going to treat them with kid gloves. And I think this is the absolute wrong way to deal with this. These type of people have made the decisions that have led to them being this way and acting this way, right? They have ruined their lives, and doing things like this and just dismissing it outright is turning them from somebody who was an active participant in destroying their life into basically like an unwilling victim into a system that destroyed their life because it enabled them to have access to substances. This is wild, and I think that these types of I don't even know what you would call them, right? Like lawyers, like these types of lawyers and judges should be looked into, because I believe that this is, in my view, not healthy for the community to continue to put these people out there. If you know that they have a psychotic disorder, then they're not safe to be around the public, right? A defense expert testified that Mickles was in an acute psychotic state during the incident and not conscious of his actions. He had previously been placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold. How did this happen? Here's the question. How did this happen? How did he fall into an acute psychotic state? How did he do that? Are they trying to imply that he was in an acute psychotic state because of substance-induced psychotic disorder? So what you're saying here is this person's in an acute state. So what you're saying here, God damn it. So what you're saying here is that this person is in an acute psychotic state that was induced by substances. Who put the substances in his body? That's the only thing you need to know. Who put the substances in his body? Did he put them in there? Then he's responsible for it, and he should be held to account for it. It's not like somebody randomly fell by and just like tripped into him and triggered him to be, you know what I mean? Like triggered substances to enter his body. It's so wild. 2032. Who's going to go? Are you going, Ecto? A spokesperson for the San Francisco District Attorney, Brooke Jenkins, insisted that the misdemeanor charge represents all the prosecutors could do in the circumstance. How is this all you can do? We carefully reviewed all the evidence submitted by BART police and charged the case with all the crimes that we believe we could prove beyond reasonable doubt. There was insufficient evidence of a hate crime. Why are we trying to go for a hate crime? Because he was black and he attacked an Asian dude? Like, you can't call it a hate crime because he was black, Nita. But if he was a white guy, then you would have tried to charge it as a hate crime. Like, why are you looking at these hangers and not looking at the nature of the crime, how it was unprovoked, and the amount of damage that he was able to inflict on this person, or his past history? You could have used his past history against him. It seems that the crime that most residents worry about the most, a random violent assault on the BART, which they cannot immediately escape, really does nothing to merit more than a misdemeanor charge and an immediate release in California. This is the other problem. This happened in a locked vehicle that you cannot readily get out of. So if this would have escalated any further, this man would have had no reprieve or no way to get out of the situation, which really does ratchet up the threat level, and you should take that into account, plus the man's history, when it comes to how you treat the situation, in my view. Another felon prone to violence in BART rides the train today, despite attacking an 80-year-old senior. I don't know. This This is wild. I think that this is sort of the problem that we're having, and this is the problem we're having in society. And the problem is that right now we are rewarding criminals, and we are dismissing we're rewarding criminals and we're dismissing victims. And that is problematic to me, and I think that's problematic to a lot of people. When you know these things are happening, when you see these things are happening, and when they're happening time and time again, and the criminals are getting away with everything, and the general public is told just to not pay attention to it or to just let it go, I think you're going to start to turn public sentiment even more. And when you mix this with everything else that's going on, I think it's really starting to be a problem for a lot of Americans. Prospective guests are now required to place a $1 million deposit, while the estimated cost and accommodations is expected to start around $410,000 per night. Who's doing it? Like, who's going to be paying for the like, how are they going to be getting up there? That's the question. All right, guys, now we get to turn to something that's just for fun. Here you go, boys. Here you go, boys. Star Trek cadets now required Star Trek cadets are now required to get DEI training. I saw this. I haven't seen the clip yet, so let's check it out. I mean, I could imagine that this is going to ensure that people want to watch the show. How many people watch Star Trek cadets? Does anybody know? 2 days ago, see if we can find any viewership on it. We can find some viewership on this. I heard that it had like really bad viewership. I'm not seeing too much good about it. I heard it got really bad viewership. I'm sure I'm not going to be able to find it. Of course I won't. That's okay. We'll deal. We'll deal. We'll deal. Where's my window? All right. Here we go, boys. Let's see what we got going on in Star Trek.
Name of this cadet.
I thought this was going to be worse. This isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think that it's definitely a little overblown. I definitely think it's a little overblown given the title here, because it was just about like being aware of the other cadet's name, which I don't really think matters, but
Name of this cadet.
let's be honest. How many of you guys have ever been in school? Been in college? Let's go with college. College is probably a better. Been in college or been part of a group or an org. What are the chances you're going to know everybody's name? Probably pretty slim. Probably pretty slim. So, I don't think this was that big of a deal. I think it's definitely getting a little bit more hate than what it was, but I can see, you know what I mean? I can see the criticisms here. Almost nobody watched it. Star Trek Fleet Academy series premiere, season 1, episode 1. Kids these days, a full episode, Paramount Plus. 1,300 people were watching the premiere. It started 70 minutes ago. Ouch. That's not good. Damn. That wasn't good. That's not good. Dude, that's barely anybody. New Lara Croft. Let's check out the new Lara Croft really quick. Sophie Turner suits up as Lara Croft in the Prime Video wardrobe test. All right. So Prime Video shared the first images Thursday of Game of Thrones star Sophie Turner in the Tomb Raider gear. Teal tank, black shorts, thigh holsters, fingerless gloves, and red tinted shades for the upcoming series. Fans split sharply. Some praise the faithful outfit, while others say, with one saying that she nailed it, while others, like GameStop, declare this is not Lara Croft, critiquing her vibe. Missing bangs and necklace. As production starts with co-star Sigourney Weaver and Jason Isaacs. I like Jason Isaacs. I don't really hate Sigourney Weaver, so the debate underscores Laura's iconic status from the games and past films by Angelina Jolie. So here we go. This is what she looks like. This is what she looks like. Let's see. I think we have more pictures here. So this is basically all of the different pictures and all the different angles. Minus the one where she floats. That one kind of looks a little funny. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I think she looks like Lara Croft. I think she looks like somebody cosplaying Lara Croft. I don't think she looks bad in it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the face that they have her making, like this like really stern looking face. I don't know, boys. I'm not feeling it. Like I don't hate it, but I don't like it. I don't hate it, but I don't like it, right? Here's a picture of like the last 3 Lara Crofts, right? The evolution of Lara Croft in the live action. I mean, it's definitely a downgrade from Angelina Jolie. Interestingly enough, I think that out of the 3 of these, I mean, obviously the most recent 2 are of a woman with like a smaller stature, right? Like a smaller bust, a smaller stature, maybe less sex appeal. But I definitely think that the person in the middle probably looks, looks the closest to what I would think would be more of a model type, even though you could argue that her strong jawline and stuff like that makes her look more like a model. I don't know. I wish I had more of an opinion on this. This is fucking hilarious. People are pretty outraged, but at the end of the day, it is very true. It could have been worse. This could have been a Netflix adaptation. And this is the Lara Croft that we could have got. This is probably the Lara Croft that we deserved, if we're honest, right? Like out of all the options, this is probably the one that we deserved. But I saw last night, I saw IGN had obviously put out the reveal, and GameStop said that this is not Lara Croft. And I think that I can't speak for GameStop, but I'm assuming that they said this wasn't Lara Croft based on just her general appearance, her general demeanor, obviously some chest proportions, and a few other things, right? So GameStop just said this is not Lara Croft. Paul Tassi was like, GameStop, would you like to elaborate on this? I think anybody that knows Paul Tassi, and I like Paul Tassi for some of his takes on Destiny, but he does have some really weird takes recently, stuff that I don't really care for. We all know kind of what GameStop is trying to say here, but instead of Paul calling them out for it, he kind of like does this thing where he edges around it, but he won't really say it. So I just came back out and said it, but I said it in a way that makes Paul look like he's saying it. So I said that I basically said I assume she's just not manly enough, and then I said, way to call it out. Way to call it out, Paul. Got to keep pressure on Amazon. We don't need the return of sexy Lara. Look how bad the movies with Angelina in them did, right? So I don't know, boys. I don't know. If that's not her, then when does she look like people? What is she, fat now? What do you mean, Storm? I think I don't know. People have issues. People have preconceived notions, right? On what they want. I don't think this is the worst casting. Like when I saw this, I didn't think it was a terrible casting for her, but I think they just did a shitty job. I think they did a shitty job with like the facial expressions. And it's one of those things where recently what they've been doing, these takes hurt your brain, yeah. One of the things they've been doing recently with Lara Croft, as far as I'm aware, is like instead of Lara Croft like stealing from tombs and like the most recent stuff, she like felt guilt about it, so she's like returning things to tombs. Just like her character, her demeanor, her like British imperialism. All of these things, have been like stripped away from the character in a way to sort of take her away from being the Tomb Raider to like the Tomb Giver. And people have viewed a lot of things that have happened with Lara recently as like a wokeification of Lara. The last Tomb Raider movies were not good, so I'm not holding out. Yeah, I think that's sort of the problem, is most people have viewed like the most recent interactions with Lara Croft and Tomb Raider to be bad. And because the most recent interactions are bad, people are going to look at anything that's done and view it with skepticism. So then when you take an actress that looks like this, it doesn't look like the original video games and doesn't look like Angelina Jolie. To be honest, you think she looks cute? Yeah. Well, that's my point. So here's the point. When you take somebody, you make her look a little manly, a little masculine. She's got a very athletic body build. People are going to view this, and they're going to view this through the lens of everything that has come up to this point. And what they're going to view this is as, it's not Angelina Jolie. It's not the original games. Her top is very, very conservative. She doesn't look sexy. She doesn't look sexualized. And people are going to view this and they're going to go, oh, we're going to be getting another DEI, like slop woke, Lara Croft. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but people are going to look at proven track records, and that is the implication that people are going to draw. So until we see the new show, it's really hard to know what the story is, what the storyline is, how they portray Lara, if they keep her like somewhat true to the original character and the original the original character and the original idea behind her, and if they just decided to go with somebody that was a little bit more, I don't know, normal looking. So I think what you're having right now is people are viewing this as a canary in the coal mine, and they're doing it based on previous track records, alterations, and other IPs that have made changes to try to drag a modern audience in, and in doing so have made it a worse product. So I'm not saying that Sophie looks bad, but what I am saying is in these videos or in these pictures, she looks more masculine. She looks very athletic. She's got a very athletic body. And this is going to take people who cared about the original subject matter and the sex appeal of Lara, and it's stripping it out. And to them, that is one indicator before the show comes out that there's a chance that it has been wokeified in a way that they won't like. It's Walter Bridge too. So girl boss script, you're assuming. What's Walter Bridge wrote that's like a girl boss script? I don't know. It's Catch-22. If they made her super hot, people would still complain that she's not the classic Lara. It's always a Catch-22. It's always a Catch-22. I think it's a Catch-22, and I think you're between a rock and a hard spot, like a rock and a hard place. But I think that the problem lies in patterns that people have seen across all media. So because people have seen these patterns over and over again, they just proactively discern patterns because they would rather err on the side of caution, right? So people would much rather assume that it's going to be garbage and assume that things are going to be bad and then be surprised that it's not, instead of doing the inverse. And I think that's what's happening here. Because again, I think Sophie doesn't look bad, but I think Sophie looks like somebody that's cosplaying Lara Croft. Is involved in it. So you're saying it could be bad? She did the indie film. But you thinking it's going to be good or bad, Hellsaber? We'll have to wait and see. How would you change your look? You could... I don't know. That's the problem, is I'm not a costume designer, but I can tell you that me looking at it, like, let me see. Me looking at this picture and this picture as your promo picture, this looks sexier than this. Like, this looks like sexy Lara Croft. Right? That's all I can say. is if I have to look at these, like, how would I change it? I don't know how I would change it, but I can tell you that if I look at this picture and this picture is a promo picture, this picture to me is more appealing and makes me think that it's going to be a show that is going to be about like guns, violence, sex appeal, and a sexy character like running around raiding tombs. And this right here just seems like some generic like photo stance. And you could say, well, it's just this picture, but I clicked before on like all of them. I had the picture up before of all of them. There was like a picture I had where it showed like all of the promo pictures. They just don't, I don't know, it just doesn't look right. I don't, do you know how you can like, have you ever heard somebody say like, can you define pornography? And you're like, well, I can't define it, but if you show it to me, I can tell you, right? Like, how do you define pornography? I can't. But if you show it to me, I can sure as shit tell you what it is. I can be like, that's pornography and that's not, right? It's the same thing here. Like, how would I fix this? I don't know. But I can tell you that if I look at this and I look at this one here makes me want to watch the show. This one here doesn't make me want to watch the show. That is, I guess, the best way to say it. That's the best way I can say it. I know it's not like the best answer, the answer you want to hear, but it's just the answer that I have. If we watch this Colin Powell stuff, we might not. I don't know. This one here I should probably tackle, but I think I might wait for more of a news story on it. We might wait for this to break into more of a news story. We might wait for this to break into more of a news story, because today's Friday, so we might wait. Dude, I had so many tabs open, and now I basically have no tabs. Let's do this. Duplicate. We went through a lot of stuff today. Went through a lot of stuff pretty fast. We'll go through some likes. We'll see what other crazy shit we got in here. Maybe we'll pick up another news story. We'll go from there, right? What is this? What up, Night Owl? You get your caramel mocha coffee? What'd you get? It's coming from Prime Video, so it's probably going to be mid anyway. Oh, absolutely. No, I don't think there's any problem in asking, right? I think that's like, I think that's half of it is just like, well, how would you change it? I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't, right? They're recruiting ICE agents using Nazis and white supremacist propaganda. Are they really? This is interesting. I didn't know this.
They're asking ICE to do outrageous things. They are recruiting them using Nazi, white supremacist propaganda, hinting to that. And then people see that. People who don't recognize it as Nazi or do you have any clear indicators that this has happened? Like, do you have any proof? Or are you just saying it just to say it, just to sound like outrageous? Or white supremacists, maybe they just join anyway. But the ones who do recognize it see it as a hint, the same kind of hint as you know, stand back and stand by. And then you put those people in the field. This is not people coming to Washington to protest. These are people being placed in my neighborhood doing horrible things to my neighbors. And when people respond to that, they say, now the problem we created, we will solve with more force. This is
Where's the Carfax? I'm just not. He's making a lot of claims here. And he's making a lot of claims about why people are doing this, and I think that it would be disingenuous to act like there is no possible way the bad actors are signing up to be active law enforcement members. I mean, you'd be lying to say it's not happening, but it has happened, and it always has happened. Bad actors will always try to put themselves in a position of power, whether that's law enforcement, whether that's being a lawyer, being a politician. You'll have, you know, communist extremists joining Antifa. You'll have Black Panthers, or like people who care about you know, black propagation will join like Black Lives Matter protests. You always have this. You'll have bad black cops that join the police to enact their will on white people. You'll have bad white cops that do it to enact their will on black people. So what you're saying here is not something that can be easily disproven. The problem is you're not really providing any facts to back up your narrative. It sounds like you're just saying things because they sound good. Yeah.
It's a horrible political play.
First of all, how dare you sit here and accuse ICE agents of being Nazi, Gestapo, and white supremacists when they are enforcing law? You just insinuated that they're apparently recruiting others. You said they're recruiting others, and then it's a dog whistle for others to then apply to that.
Absolutely.
Second of all,
let me tell you what he's referring to.
You didn't see that?
He's referring to posts that have been put out on social media by DHS.
I've seen all the posts.
And on the Department of Labor, and on other accounts that have been traced back to white supremacist chat rooms, iconography.
Wait. So that's equivalent of Hitler drank water. So if you drink water, you're Hitler.
Did you not see the one?
I mean, she's definitely calling them out, because it is a sort of double standard when you can abstract things out so far to be able to prove your point. Well, this could be tracked back to, well, this could be traced back to. You're abstracting in a way to drive your narrative, and people are just not going to people are going to call you out on your bullshit.
Well, look,
did you not see the one with George Washington?
There's plenty of stuff.
Did you see the one with George Washington?
Which specific one?
The one where they were using Nazi, it's hinting at Nazi phrasing over a picture of George Washington. Did you see it? Did you see it? You didn't see it.
Well, what was Nazi
you didn't see it. You said you see it, but you didn't see it.
Well, then explain what it is. Media lacks common sense. Fairly everything can be traced back to white supremacy. Chat room, like, shake my head. Well, my favorite is when they're like, did you see it was based on their language? Did you see it was based on their words? What words, what language? Tell me what it is. Because you can be like, well, they use the word the, and the is in the fucking 12 words or 14 words or whatever it's called, right? Like, you're abstracting things to a level that just drives your narrative and proves no point.
What is the phrase?
What's the phrase? And the reason
no one knows.
Everybody's asking what the phrase is, and he's not able to say it. If I say it's real, dude, sources trust me, bro.
How can you accuse her of seeing it if you can't say the phrase?
I don't want to, guys, hold on. One second. Everybody stop talking.
Oh, for sure, Hellsaber. I hate watching this kind of stuff where it devolves into just like a screaming, shouting match between a bunch of people that want to get their point across, but they can't take the time or wait to say it, right? Like, why can't we engage like actual adults in a room that talk? Nobody wants to see this on the news. Who watches this? Nobody.
I want to make sure we get this phrase in, because the phrase is one homeland, one people, one heritage. Remember who we are as American, over a picture of George Washington. And that is a hint at what a lot of people are suggesting is a hint at a Nazi German party thing that said one people, one realm, one leader. Do you remember?
It was a lot of people are saying that it was a hint at this. And then the phrasing is as similar as two sentences or two like theories about trying to protect where you live. Like, come on, man. You are literally stretching this shit to the point of beyond breakage.
Remember what the largest Nazi rally ever held in America, where it was held?
Have you ever seen a dollar bill that says one nation under God? Have you ever read John Jay, who said we were one people with one language?
In Madison Square Garden in 1934. And you know what picture was on that stage? George Washington. And you know what the person said when they got on the stage to introduce that Nazi rally? Was that if George Washington was alive today, he and Adolf Hitler would be friends.
You can say whatever you want. Obviously, when you're trying to do this and you're trying to promote like nationalism, George Washington was arguably one of what is considered to be the best presidents of all time with his leadership, his military strategy, his role basically in crafting what is the United States of America, right? And he's one of the he's one of the reasons that we have presidents and not kings, is because he didn't want to rule forever. So like, why would he is obviously going to be one of the people that you are going to try to use when you're trying to drum up national support. Just because people say something doesn't make it a fact. Like, I know for some reason there is like this consensus on one side of the political spectrum that you can just say things and do things and they become fact or law. And we are seeing that nonstop in people saying they don't have to obey the laws, saying they can break the laws, saying they have the right to obstruct justice, saying they have the right to impede federal officers. And everybody is just supposed to sit down and back down and just let these people do whatever they want. You cannot just make shit up. In a way, it's thanks to content creators and free speech that have helped turn the tide on these mainstream media narratives. I like to think that there are a lot of people out there that are doing what they can on both sides, though one side is obviously doing a better job of like putting a cohesive narrative together, and some people are just espousing rhetoric. I mean, you guys know what we're talking about. The reason I'm not saying certain things, I'm trying not to get my videos like completely like cucked over on YouTube, so I'm not trying to like use colorful language at times to like obfuscate the truth. I'm just not as big as Asmongold. I can't come out here and just say like and like get my video through. Like, if I say anything like that, it's instantly gonna be screwed. So I can't do that, right? So we have to be a little bit more creative on what we say. But yeah.
All right, let me just make one more note.
It's one of these things where
they're asking ICE to do outrageous things. They are recruiting them using
this whole idea that they're asking ICE to do outrageous things. This whole narrative falls apart when you put it under any sort of like scrutiny, right? Like, you take the time, you look at it, you discuss it, you say or do anything, and instantly the narrative falls apart, right? CNN, they're Nazis. CNN also, what's Antifa? He looked so offended. He couldn't remember what it was. He had to look it up. Yeah, like, well, he quoted it and then he had to come back and say it, right? Rhetoric like this is why our ICE agents are under attack. This is 100% true. The other one too, I'm getting really tired. Let me pull this over here. I'm getting really tired of Iran. All right. We're going to mute that, but we're going to bring this over here. We're going to bring this over here because I want to prove a point. I want to prove a point, and this is my point. All right, let's mute this. I am getting so tired of the rhetoric in the United States being around how bad this is, how bad these ICE officers are, how much this is like 1930s, 1940s Germany, how this is oppressive, how the US government is overreaching, how ICE agents are basically Nazis, how terrible this is, how this is such an overreach, how this is the worst thing in the world that's happening. Meanwhile, this is fucking Iran. This is what bad shit actually looks like. This is what it looks like when you go to a country that doesn't care about you or your citizens and you try to protest. This is what it looks like when a country knows that the eyes of the world are on it and they shut off internet access and they shut down your access to the internet, to media, to be able to share footage. And then they go out in the streets and they take out thousands and tens of thousands of protesters, and then they sell the bodies back to the family, and then they make you pay for the bullets that were used to kill these people. So can we please, for the love of God, stop acting like going around asking people their immigration status and deporting people out of the country that are not supposed to be here is the same thing as this. And in all actuality, this is not as bad as 1930s Germany. This right here would make the Germans go, hold my beer. So can we just please stop lying? And can we please stop with the rhetoric? That's all I'm asking. I mean, like, am I the only person that is just getting so frustrated by these, like, crying Karens online acting like being told to get out of the road is the same thing as soldiers walking down the road and just laying waste to everybody in the street? They're not even close. And stop going, well, we're one step away from it. Dude, there's a fucking gulf between what we're doing and what happened in Iran. There is a fucking globe between what is happening and what happened in Germany. Like, they're not even in the same plane of reality. Like, just stop. Just stop with this rhetoric. It is irritating. It's annoying. I'm tired of it. All it's doing is telling people that they don't have to listen to you, and any actual complaint or criticism you have is being thrown out because nobody cares. Because anybody with a freaking brain can tell that you are comparing apples to bowling balls. Yeah, they're both round-ish. And focus on your own life. I don't blame you, Night Owl. The problem is, even if you turn it off, it's still happening. Even if you turn it off, even if you turn it off and tune it out, it's still happening, and it's still going to happen whether you want it to or not. And you're better off to be slightly informed about what's going on than to be left in the dark and lied to. 100% not the case, but that's all I hear. Yeah. It's just so... It's literally so infuriating. It's so infuriating because we can all tell what's happening. Like this right here. Way to show this fucking glammed up, glow ass photo of somebody who literally ran at officers. Right? Like, somebody literally physically ran at cops. And they shot him in the face with a fucking paintball gun. I don't even think they were aiming for his face. They were just shooting in his direction. Because if you go back and watch the video, they shot some other chick in the thigh. Like, the level of just being disingenuous is just pissing me off. And it's getting to the point that I can't even deal with it. Stuff like this, right?
Spaces.
Here you go.
Today we're talking about
I take this with a grain
housing
of
on
salt.
college campus.
Take this with a grain of salt because it's from PragerU. But just like stuff like this, right?
Today we're talking about equitable housing on college campuses. The idea of equitable housing is giving racial groups, safe spaces for their communities and their cultures. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a good idea if people of color would feel more comfortable in having like their own spaces.
Anytime you
and, like, groups of people like them.
Anytime you do.
So we have a petition we're getting people to sign today for Black student housing here at CSUN. Would you be willing to sign this?
Oh yeah, sure.
Anytime you do anything where you start talking about identity or racial groups, it is by and large going to be racist to somebody.
Would you be willing to sign this for us as well?
What would be the purpose of that? Because white people have privilege, so why would we need our own housing? People of color are people who are, discriminated against and face like injustice and inequity. White people do not have that problem. A white person in the U.S. has the utmost privilege over all races.
But you literally just discriminated against. You literally just discriminated against white people. What, like, am I just slightly dumb or completely dumb? Okay, it's fine. Let's make housing for one identity group or one racial group. Okay, that sounds good. All right, let's make another one for another racial group. No, we don't want to do that. Why? Well, that's racist.
We don't need like a white safe space. That's not necessary.
But if they feel like they need that space, then why would that be wrong?
Why would a white person feel less comfortable in other races? That's their own problem.
You feel like it's a
Can you not use this logic against the other side? Like, can you not just reverse this logic and use it against the other group?
contradiction for you to advocate that other races?
Such thing as reverse racism.
I'm not saying racism, but I'm saying you argued that.
No, there is. Do you know what reverse racism is? It's racism. Reverse racism is racism. You're right. There's absolutely no such thing as reverse racism. It's still racism.
Other races can have their spaces if they feel like they need it, but not white people.
Yeah, that's because white people are privileged. We are at the top of the social hierarchy in the U.S.
One of the privileges I think that's most glaring is, it was just struck down, but affirmative action. So for example, students of color getting preferential treatment over white students. I feel like that's a form of racism.
Racism against white people?
Yeah.
Girl, no, white racism does not exist.
Not even if black people are getting preferential.
Dude, the logic that honestly, the lack of logic that is on display here just hurts my brain.
Treatment in school admissions?
That is just not, Can I ask what's your political stance?
Oh, it became political. Instantly, this became political. If this isn't a logic conversation, this isn't a, does this make sense? It was, wait a minute. You're not on my team, are you? You're not on my team. At this point, all of us normal human beings want a safe space from liberal white women. Dude, if I could only get a space from liberal white women, it would be awesome, right? This hurts your brain too? Like, where's the logic here, chat? Stop the world, I want to get off. Rippy, you're not allowed to. The fact that once you started, and this is where things get really bad, and you see this all the time. As soon as things started to not go her way, and she was being pressed by logic and fact and reason that she could no longer refute, the number one thing she did was instantly deflected to identity. That way she can start arguing against you based on the difference in political ideology, which has now become a religion for these people. And then you can demonize the other person, and you can take what they're saying and dismiss it outright because they're no longer on your side.
Are you a conservative?
I am a conservative, yes. Is that a problem?
Yes.
Why?
Goodbye.
All right. Bye. Well, we lost one, you guys, but we're trying. Today we're talking about...
Do you think this is real, or do you think this was a meme? And that's why I said you have to be careful. So transparently, I think this was probably real, but this could have absolutely been set up by her reaction. Damn, you pissed off the Manchurian lady? I mean, this whole woke mind virus that is like infecting the youth and turning them against just giving them the ability to just not even look at facts is a huge problem. I don't know if this is actually real. I'm going to assume it is. Until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to assume this is real. But Jesus Christ, boys. Like, where... Just the lack of logic just hurts my brain. Federal agent was just forced. Did you guys see this? Dude, this is the situation we're in right now. And this is another reason why I think the Insurrection Act is probably going to get called in, right? You're telling me that federal officers... hitting the car, slapping the car, standing in front of the car, preventing officers from moving forward. I'm not going to do it again, but we looked up the definition of impede, and impede is not to stop, but to just slow or do anything you can to slow down or prevent somebody from doing their job, right? That's why it's called impede and not prevent, right? You're not actively stopping people, you're just slowing it down and you're making it harder for them to do their job. This is impeding. This is impeding federal law enforcement. And when you're impeding federal law enforcement from doing their job, that is a federal crime. This looks like an ambush. I mean, how could you not realistically be slightly concerned that there could be an agitator out there with a weapon. There could be somebody in the car, or there could be somebody around the car with a gun, a baseball bat, an icebreaker. There could be anybody in that crowd that is willing to do something wrong. And you have no protection or space around you to give you a buffer to deal with it. So in this situation, these agitators are forcing law enforcement into a position where what is going to happen is a knee-jerk reaction. And I truly think that for right now, it is going to continue like it is. But all it takes is one person. The first time that there is an actual case or incident where somebody actively harms or kills an ICE agent like this, you will see the biggest crackdown that you have ever seen in the US. People are trying to stoke it up, foam at the mouth at a chance to LARP as freedom fighters or the like. Oh, this is absolutely just people from privileged backgrounds coming in LARPing, right? People who don't even live in the state are coming in. They want to be a freedom fighter. They want to be seen on the right side. They're using this as a way to get out of their boring, pedestrian, middle or upper class, like white lives, where there's nothing wrong and there's no conflict in their life. And they're using this as a way to feel something or feel emboldened or feel empowered. This is an absolute joke, Hellsaber. What's going to happen? Mark my words. Somebody will hurt a law enforcement officer in a very serious way. And as soon as that happens, you will see an insane crackdown, because we watched earlier with the mayor. Like, let me go back. Let me see if I can find that mayor video again. We watched this with Asman, but at X mayor. Let's see if I can find this video. All right, this right here. We saw this earlier. What's gonna happen, right? Let's see. Let's get this to where it needs to be.
Right now, where we have residents that have ICE agents on the street by their neighbors.
Let me see if this is the right clip.
We cannot be at a place where we have in this position.
This might not be the right clip. I don't think this is the right
police
clip.
officers in Minneapolis. Far fewer that are.
Is this the right clip or not? I gotta try to find the right clip.
Approximately 6.
This might not be the right clip. Yeah, it says he wants to fight ICE officers on the street. Let's try to find
police officers in Minneapolis. Far fewer that are able to work at any given time. And there are approximately 3,000 ICE agents. 3,000.
Let's try to find it.
Position because we have approximately 6 that are literally fighting one another. Why are we put in this position? We have 2 governmental entities that are literally.
I'm trying to find the clip. There it was.
To stand by their neighbors. We cannot be at a place right now in America where we have 2 governmental entities. This doesn't seem like.
I saw him like raise his eyebrows earlier. Dude, I wish I wouldn't have closed the clip. I wish I wouldn't have closed the clip. There was a clip earlier. Might be this one.
For certain is that this is not sustainable. This is an impossible situation that our city is presently being put in. To maintain order. Now where we have residents to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by
that right there
in the street.
That right there. So I lost my train of thought. So let me go back. What? I don't even remember. I lost my train of thought, chat. I lost my train of thought because I had to go find this clip. Once that boiling point is reached, it'll be all out war against ICE. It'll be wrong on so many levels. Yeah. The problem right now is you've got officials saying stuff like this
on the street to stand by have to fight ICE agents on the number of police officers that we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street.
All right, let me back it up.
And we're in a position right now where we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors.
And this right here is the problem, right? So, where are we at? Right here. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought. Right, we ended up losing our train of thought. But what up, Muse? Why does forehead look like ground beef though? Dude, why would you say that? Why would you put him in that position? So, what is going to end up happening is you're going to continue to push for this, and then what's going to end up happening is because of rhetoric like what the mayor said, which is we're being asked for law enforcement to fight ICE, we're doing all this. Somebody's going to mess up, somebody's going to screw around, somebody's going to hurt a law enforcement officer. And once that happens, you're going to have, if the Insurrection Act isn't called, it's going to be called. They're going to come in and they're going to shut the state down. Because you could see in that clip, as soon as he even mentioned that one side was calling for police to fight ICE, you could see the shock on his face, because obviously that's not going to happen. And once here's my train of thought. So what'll happen is once this happens and a law enforcement officer, like a federal law enforcement officer, gets hurt or killed, all of the other officers are going to side with that officer, and they're going to side with that agency, because that is how this works. And you will have a hard time getting them to come out and turn against or stand against other law enforcement officers when footage shows up like this, right? When footage shows up like this of these law enforcement officers being pressed, being surrounded, constantly being assaulted, like we saw earlier, all of these other things, and then something bad happening to them. And once that happens, it's going to be over, and there will be martial law declared, and they will come in, they'll sweep the streets, and they will get law and order back on track. But this right here is insane. The fact that I saw this video and he felt the need to pull his pistol out just in case is a huge problem. And there are going to be people that say it's performative, and there are going to be people that say it's done just for the cameras. But at the end of the day, it is a very real response to people crowding you like this right outside of your facility, because you have no idea what's going to happen, and you have no idea who is in the crowd. And the fact that you can't do anything to keep him away is a huge problem. He's fearing for his life, and I can't say that I blame him. I don't know that I agree with this. I don't agree with this. Tom Holman says Trump admin is building a database of people attacking ICE and plans to broadcast their names and faces publicly. He then says they'll contact employers, schools, and neighbors to expose them. I don't think this is good. I don't think this is good at all. And I think that here's a problem.
This job and these people who want to say follow ICE,
Here's the problem. I think that something like this would actually be a huge government overreach, and I don't think you should do it. But the problem is we can't even have these types of conversations because everybody is out here having conversations about dumb shit instead of the stuff that should be talked about. And if this is actually the administration's stance, then I think this should be looked at, right?
This job and these people who want to say follow ICE, and film ICE, you know what? You can protest. They have that right. But when you cross that line, and we've proven it, if you interfere or impede or assault an ICE officer, you will be prosecuted. And one thing I'm pushing for right now, Laura, we're going to create a database where those people that are arrested for interference, impediment, assault, We're going to make them famous. We're going to put their face on TV. We're going to let their employers in their neighborhoods, in their schools, know who these people are. Because as you said, a lot of these people, they say they're taking time off work to protest. I bet you.
There's a huge gray area here. I think if you do anything more than what would be standard, which is to arrest somebody and then release their information afterwards, right? Like, if that's pretty standard practice, and I think it is, then that's okay. But doing anything more than that, I feel like is a huge government overreach. That's just my view on it.
A lot more calling in sick. I bet you a lot of their employers don't know what they're doing, but we're going to make sure everybody knows who they are. We're going to broadcast.
Your job's not to be their parent, right? They have the right to protest, but if they break the law, then you deal with that the legal way.
They want to broadcast the ICE officer that was nearly killed all over the internet. We're going to broadcast every one of these people we arrest. This job and these.
I think that this is the wrong way to look at it. I don't think that... I think this is the wrong way to look at it. I 100% think this is the wrong way to look at it. I don't think that you should broadcast these people to try to publicly shame them. I think you should charge them to the extent that you can based on what they did. So if you were protesting and you were just protesting, then two wrongs don't make a right, no matter how many times we got to say it. Exactly. I think that, this will be fuel voting people out of the office. Oh, absolutely, Night Owl. Absolutely. It's punishment without due process. Exactly. I think this is what you should do because, like, obviously, if you've been watching my videos, I've been a pretty staunch advocate for, like, stopping the shit that's going on over there, but I do it with logic. So I think that if you are, if you are arrested, then you should be processed. And if you are arrested for impeding an investigation or you're arrested for assaulting a federal officer, you should be prosecuted, and that's it. There's no reason is asking for witch hunts. Exactly. I don't think there's any world in which you should broadcast that information publicly because it's not doing anything good. It's going to hurt your cause and it's going to make you look bad. What I will say is you should very, very, very much take everything they're doing and prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. And I think you should go after them very hard. And I think if they are more than a protester and they're an agitator, or you find that they are online stoking divisiveness, they are spreading misinformation, and they are making the situation worse, then you prosecute them more heavily and you charge them with other crimes. They're promoting mob mentality, absolutely. And I don't think that's right? I've always tried to be very pragmatic and fair. And I think in this instance, I'm being more than pragmatic or fair. And people would say that it's like the other side or whatever. I don't really care about sides. I just don't think it's right. But I do think you prosecute the shit out of them. If you are somebody that is jumping in front of cars, you're doing all these things, you're standing up, you're using a megaphone, you're shouting, you're getting people riled up, you're causing the protests to turn violent, you're doing all these things, then you should be charged with more than just like jaywalking or whatever they can use to charge. You know what I mean? You should charge them very, very, very heavily. I think that is the best way to do this. You guys just have to let me know what you think, but I think that's the best way to do this. And I think that just outright trying to publicly shame people is the wrong thing. And I think that in my view, you shouldn't do that. I think that is an overreach, and I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think there are better ways to do it. And you will do a better job of arresting these agitators and putting them in jail and just not letting them out. Because there are so many people that you see that are doing things, like not this person, but there's so many people you see doing things that should clearly net them being arrested. So just start arresting people, right? You've got this line of officers here, they're trying to hold this line, and you've got a line of protesters advancing forward on them. These guys should hold their line, and as soon as these protesters get within grabbing reach, they should grab them and instantly arrest them. Because there's a difference, because the officers aren't encroaching on you. You're encroaching on the officers. And then if you're standing in the road and the officers decide they want to clear the road, they're within their right to do that. And if you don't get out of the road, then you should be arrested. I think that there are better ways to do this, right? But like these guys walking up to these guys like this, and being professional agitators, he's got a gas mask on, he knows what he's doing, he's there to start a problem. If you're within grabbing range of me, then I'm putting you under arrest. Because you are at that moment invading my personal space, and I am well within my rights as a law enforcement officer to believe that you plan on doing harm to me because you have not stopped advancing and you're being aggressive. So I'm going to detain you. You waited out a day in the drunk tank or whatever, and then you come back, and if you want to do it again, then you do it again. But that's what we do. And if you're arrested multiple times, then you go to jail for longer. It seems fair. It seems fair to me. But yeah, I don't think the idea of just like making them famous is a good idea. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. Leftist mom claims she's willing to be shot in the face to obstruct an ICE investigation.
Am I going to impede on an ICE investigation? ICE is coming to Boston. I gotta get my kids ready for school. Like, am I going to impede on an ICE investigation? I mean, that would totally depend. Are they gonna kidnap innocent children out of my schools again? Because I am ready to get shot in the face. Are you all gonna watch it and just be totally fine?
This suicidal empathy is a huge problem. This woman knows she has kids. She knows she has a responsibility to her family. And she is outright saying that she is happy to interfere with a federal investigation. She is willing to put herself in harm's way. And she is willing to get shot in the face. Potentially leave her children without a mother. All because law enforcement is there just to enforce the law. This is why these type of people need to be put in asylums.
When it happens, if it happens, because I was helping children by blowing whistles, because I have more courage on the skin of my teeth than some of you have in your entire bodies from this life and your last. ICE is coming to Boston.
This is definitely one of those situations. This is definitely one of those situations where her suicidal empathy and people like this are the reason we're having problems, right? Like this whole thing is a huge issue. Hold on. Emily just texted me. Leave. There we go. All right. Yeah, guys, I think this is crazy. Let me use the bathroom. We'll talk about a few more things. And then we'll get into some games. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. Back, had another cup of coffee. How's the second cup of going? All right, let's check it out. SCOTUS is set to hear. SCOTUS is set to weigh in on, for the first time, on whether transgender athletes can compete in sports. 29 states have passed laws that ban males who identify as trans from competing in female sports. Supreme Court decision could determine the fate of women, girls, sports for the nation. This is actually a really...
For our girls winning.
This is actually like a really big thing, and I'm surprised nobody's talking about it. Because this is actually kind of a big deal, but it's being done while everybody is focusing on freaking the riots in Minneapolis.
The fate of girls and women's sports may ultimately rest in a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. The High Court on Tuesday for the first time is weighing in on whether boys and men who say that they're transgender can compete in female sports. 29 states, the NCAA, and the U.S. Olympic Committee all have bans on transgender athletes competing. As far as the Republicans' attorneys general...
This is going to be a big deal. This is going to be a big deal. And this is going to... I mean, obviously, it's going to set precedent. But I think this is going to become a flashpoint, and I think this is going to be... This has been a topic that I think has poisoned certain levels of debate when it comes to the left, and where their insistence to like ally with like the further ends of the spectrum has really sown a level of division even within their own party, and separated what seems to be like common sense or normies views from theirs, and created a level of divisiveness.
Association goes, they're urging the High Court to uphold the state bans, saying it's a matter of fairness.
Women and girls should feel safe in the locker rooms and have the opportunity to participate in fair competitions.
Federal judges in West Virginia and Idaho have ruled that banning boys from girls' sports is a civil rights violation that discriminates based on sex. Officials in those states and beyond are calling on the justices to reverse those decisions.
I've spoken with parents all across my state, thousands of...
And this is why I think the Supreme Court has to weigh in on this, because there's a level of grayness that's happening. And there needs to be somebody to come in and set the playing field for this. One of opinions. Response to be a double-edged sword. It's always a double-edged sword. I will give you my thought on this, because as you guys know, I like to try to provide like a very pragmatic approach to things. So I'll give you my thought on this. My thought on this is, how do I want to say it? Let me go back so I can grab this part of the video.
To reverse those decisions.
I've spoken with...
Discriminates based on sex.
So, hold on. So the argument is that hold on. Let me go back.
Participate in fair competitions.
Federal judges in West Virginia and Idaho have ruled that banning boys from girls' sports is a civil rights violation that discriminates based on sex.
And this is where things are getting like really weird and like levels of gray, right? They're saying that banning men from women's sports is discrimination based on sex. I think that is trying to bend or break the rules, or bend or break the laws in a way that is advantageous for you. There is a clear distinction on why you would set up different sports based on biology, whether it is for fairness in the sport or whether it is for the safety of the people who are involved with or attending the sport, right? So based on, last you saw, basically that was the last thing I saw. So I don't think that you're going to really, going to get anywhere on this sports being segregated into male and female, and then barring men from playing female sports is going to go anywhere, because there are other precedents set, right? Like, men just can't walk into the women's bathroom. That is a segregated space, based on the I don't want to say rules, but just based on society and based on the protections entitled that women have to have like their level of privacy. And breaking down these walls and barriers does nothing good for anybody. So because of that, there's not really a reason to do it, other than just to do it, right? So if you're going to argue that boys should be able to compete in women's sports, you're doing it just to do it, right? So I don't see how you're gonna do that. The counter argument here that I've been seeing quite frequently is that girls' spaces and girls' locker rooms, there's a chance that girls will not feel safe if there is a like a biological male in their space, especially when we're dealing with like young girls, like prepubescent or pubescent girls, and how there's a level of discomfort that they're already going to have because they're already dealing with like body dysmorphia, trying to accept who they are, the difference in the way they look with other people, and now you're injecting somebody who, for all intents and purposes, when you are stripped down, looks like a male into that space, is going to cause problems and is going to create an unsafe space and could be mentally damaging for these girls. On top of that, I mean, you're exposing young women to seeing young men naked. There are a lot of things here where I could see that this is going to cause a problem. And then that completely discounts any sort of issues you would have around the biological differences in strength. The fact that young men have testicles, which produce testosterone, which is going to give them a clear advantage in female sports. And the only argument to that is if you were to say, well, they're taking hormone blockers, they're taking blockers, and they're starting the transition at that point to where they're like blocking their body from producing testosterone and all these other things. But that goes into a whole nother legal argument about should we be allowing children who cannot vote or who do not have fully like developed frontal cortex should we allow them to be able to make biological changes to their body or allow them to do things that may not be easily reversible when their brains aren't fully developed and they are very impressionable and they are making decisions based off of propaganda they're seeing online instead of like reason and thought process, and they have not lived long enough to be able to make those decisions in a lot of people's views. So any argument about this is it should fall apart once you start doing the logic test, because the only way that you can say that it's okay is if you say that these biological males are preventing themselves from gaining testosterone through blockers. But then the question is, why are they allowed to have access to blockers? Because that's a whole different situation. There's a whole lot that's going into this, and I think that it's a really good conversation and it's stuff that people should be talking about, but nobody wants to talk about it because nobody wants to be called names.
Officials in those states and beyond are calling on the justices to reverse those decisions.
I've spoken with parents all across my state, thousands of parents, and these are parents from both political parties. I found that this is one issue on which they agree, the issue of ensuring fairness and a level playing field for our girls when it comes to sports.
Many female athletes who had to compete against or alongside boys and men say that this is a matter of protecting
this video is just
women.
Not happy.
5 times I lost.
What is going on here? Dude, this video is not liking this video at all. Jesus Christ.
The fate of girls in women's sport.
Run fast.
It is not liking this video, boys.
Side boys and men
Christ.
say that this is a matter of protecting women.
5 times I lost.
Why is this video not playing? It's not my internet, right? My internet looks fine. It is just this video. Wow, that's very interesting. That is very interesting, chap. Very, very, very interesting. Well, I guess the internet says we can't watch that video.
I really love you and tune out the silly noise, and you know who you are.
Watch that video.
And that's the most beautiful thing. And please, please, just hold on to that knowing and love yourself wholeheartedly.
Yeah. In that, like the decisions of this case, or the decisions about our community by people who are not a part of our community, yeah, they can hurt and they do harm. But it really, who we are as trans folks is not at stake. Like we exist regardless of any decision or some opinion or some podcast. We're here throughout, and we may have to jump over certain hurdles, but we will exist. You exist, you are here, and we support you regardless of what anybody has to say.
We love you.
A lot of this boils down, and where I see a lot of the divisiveness around this has very little to do with like trans adults and trans adults being able to exist or be able to occupy the same space as other people. I think a lot of this conversation gets muddled, and it gets muddled because people try to tug at your heartstrings, and it's problematic. And I think it's problematic because most people, I would say most people across the political spectrum, most people like in the middle and middle left and middle right, nobody really has a problem with the concept of trans people existing, trans people living their life or doing whatever they want. I actually don't think most people really care. The only time people care, and where it seems to be very hyper divisive, is when it comes to young people and affecting children and how children have to live their life. And I think that when it comes to stuff like the Supreme Court case around kids and kids sports and trans youth, I think that is where a lot of people really start to draw the line. When I grew up in the 80s and 90s, 2000s, you never heard of trans. Not like this. I mean, I'd heard of like transsexuals and stuff like that, but not people like trying to like, you know, go from being male to female. That wasn't a huge thing. At least not when I was growing up. It wasn't a huge thing like it is now. And the trans ideology wasn't a huge thing like it is now. I think that most people don't care what you do as long as you're an adult. But where people have problems is when you start interacting with children. And I think that being able to make a very large, very substantial change to your body as an adolescent is something that needs to be like put under scrutiny, right? Like I'm almost positive in most states you need to be like 16 or 18 to even get a tattoo, right? So why is it okay to like limit the access to tattoos, piercings, a lot of these types of things, voting, smoking, drinking, a lot of these things don't happen until you're old enough to be able to. A lot of these things don't happen until you're old enough for your brain to process the ramifications, right, of your actions. You could argue that the drinking age could be lower or whatever. That's irrelevant. But you can make these severe changes to your body that are basically, in some cases, not easy to be reversed, and you can completely interact with other people and you limit their right to choose. And that is where I think where it bothers me the most is you are saying, and this happens all the time, and this is like a running theme that I've been noticing when it comes to the left, is they are all for like rights, human rights, the ability to do and think, the ability to choose, just so long as you choose what they want. And they're okay with imposing will and imposing rules and laws as long as it works with their ideology. So the idea here is that you could have a group of 20 kids, like 20 females playing volleyball. And if you had 20 females playing volleyball and then a male student who identifies as a female can now interject themselves into a space where their wants and desires trump that of the 20 people whose lives they affect by interjecting themselves in the space, by being in the locker room, by being on the team, and the team that they go up against. Those 20 female students are now directly being impacted by the male student that identifies as female. So in this situation, there are 40 people being affected by the decision of one person. And that is completely okay by the left. That is 100% acceptable, because that one person is worth more than those 40 people. And that is where I draw a line and where I start having a problem logically. Is why is one person and their feelings and their wants and their desires more important than the other 40 people whose lives just got affected? Or the teachers that are involved, or the coaches, or their comfort level, or what they're okay with. I mean, you're affecting numerous people by this one decision. And for some reason, it's okay to make everybody else uncomfortable. It's okay to bend and break everybody else's will to suit your worldview, but it's not okay for people to do that to you. And on top of that, it is even worse, because now you're dealing with young people and you're affecting young people, and you're empowering some of these young men who might want to make this change, but may regret it later on, or may change their mind, or may decide that they didn't want to do that once they get older. They would have been okay with something that was less extreme, or they would have just been okay just being like a drag queen or something like that. Like, it's just so asinine, and it bothers me in so many different ways, because anytime you take 5 seconds worth of logic, just 5 seconds, just to sit down and go, we are allowing one group to impose its will on another group, and we're saying it's completely okay, but if you flip the roles and reverse it, it is 100% not okay. And that level of double standard is bothers me to no end. And I think it bothers a lot of other people. But I mean, what do I know? I'm just some guy on the internet with a microphone, right? I don't know, boys. I feel like you can just sit down and look at this stuff and just take 5 seconds and go, I don't have to agree with everything. I can disagree with whole parts of this, but when you try to just break it down and look at it logically, and just look at it from a very academic high stance, it completely falls apart. It does to me. I don't know if it does to you guys, but it absolutely does to me. It's hugely problematic. All right, Decoy. They finally went too far. Let's see what Decoy Voice has got to say today. This looks like this is about Minnesota keeps getting worse, and Governor Tim Walz seems to be leading it. Jesus, Decoy. Let's see what we got going on here, buddy.
After the first ICE incident over in Minnesota, another activist lost his eye from a non-lethal round in California. But did they learn their lesson? No, it seems everything just keeps getting worse. As in Minnesota, again, ICE just popped another guy.
That there was an ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis.
Where this enraged...
Yeah, you can't stand the hypocrisy. That is the part that bothers me, Code, is it is just blatant hypocrisy. And that blatant hypocrisy just drives me up the wall. And I just hate it. I literally hate it. Because if you're going to have a stance, then have a stance. And stand on it, and stand on... Instead of standing on emotion, just stand on the rules and stand on the logic behind it. And if it doesn't pass the smell test, then you're probably standing on the wrong side of something, right? You're probably standing on the wrong side of something.
Just keeps getting worse. As in Minnesota, again, ICE just popped another guy.
That there was an ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis.
Where this enraged the activists, despite knowing virtually nothing about this incident.
And in this incident, it seems like this was more than justified, right? In this incident, at least it's my understanding, we'll see what Decoy says, but this man was basically, like, this ICE officer was basically chased by numerous people, somebody with a shovel, broom handles. I mean, it was clear their intent wasn't to wish him happy birthday, right? So if you're outnumbered and people have weapons, then I believe that you're within your right to use your own, right? That would make sense in most situations.
There's a person arrested, it seems. I'm not quite sure, on the ground. She looks like she's cuffed. There's Border Patrol officers in full camo. They're armed with... A couple of them have night vision.
So the feds sent in...
Just get back. How hard is this? You are making an already tense situation bad. You are there, and your only reason to be there is to agitate the situation. That's why they're called agitators. They are there to make the situation worse. When there's somebody there, when there's somebody cuffed, when there's somebody on the ground, when there are things going on, you should not be walking forward. You should not be encroaching on these officers' safe space, like quote unquote safe space. They have a reasonable expectation of not having people on top of them. And if you are on top of them, it is reasonable for them to assume that you are going to try to harm them.
Tear gas to quell the crowds.
I mean, fuck around and find out, right? Like, you're not supposed to be in the street. It's not like they were just lobbing these into the sidewalk, right? These are people that are actively blocking a street.
Even deploying prison guards to stop the riots.
Well, they have to freaking deploy prison guards because they can't get any state or local help. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Dude, the Darwin Awards are gonna have a field day with this, right? If you cannot get support from the state and local government, then what are you gonna do? You're gonna get more federal troops, and you're gonna continue to put federal troops on the ground to protect the other federal troops on the ground. And then what's gonna happen is the other side is going to see an increase in federal troops, and they're going to call in more agitators from outside the state. And you're just gonna continue to have this build up until one side does something that is so impossible to defend that the federal government gets called in to shut it down. And that'll be either federal troops just laying waste to like civilians, in which case the federal government will have to pull out all the troops, they'll have to issue apologies, they'll have to pay a bunch of money, or you're going to have these agitators cross the line, and when they cross the line, they're going to hurt a federal law enforcement officer. And that's going to be all it takes to get the federal government to come in and go, you guys, we've let you play around. We've let you LARP as freedom fighters, right? We've let you guys crash out in the street. You guys are malding out on social media. We're letting all this stuff happen. All these politicians are saying whatever they want, but you cross the line. At this moment, you cross the line. You actively are hurting federal law enforcement. We're sending in the guard. If you're caught within 10 feet, we're going to consider you hostile and we're going to cuff you. Like, that's what it's going to be. And that is where I think we're headed. Pepper spray them all? Absolutely. What up, Mr. Bill? If you are close enough to me to pepper spray you, then you deserve it. In this situation, I feel like that's warranted. I feel like it's warranted. Why are you this close to these people? Why are you this close to this line of law enforcement officers? You're protesting, I get it. Why are you this close? This man can almost touch this man. You are a line of people pushing towards another line of people. We have this ingrained in our monkey brains that this is one line standoff versus another. This is how we fought wars until World War I. This is how it was done. So these people here, all of the biology, all of the evolution in their brain says that line of people is one move away from trying to hurt us. Because it's the way you're trained through biology.
And all for what? To protest the shooting of an undocumented Venezuelan who was fleeing law enforcement, only to have two random other guys ambush and attack the agent, hitting him with a shovel or broomstick, when the officer ended up firing and striking the initial subject. And even though they tried to escape, they were all eventually detained, with both the officer and the attacker being hospitalized.
But mainstream media and left-wing outlets, before all this information came out, just made it look like there was another shooting that happened in Minneapolis. The officer's completely at fault. This is a completely unwarranted shooting.
It's almost like, again, ICE isn't out there kidnapping or attacking random citizens. It's just when they're out there enforcing our border laws, when they fear for their life, whether it be being hit by an activist vehicle or getting beaten by 3 idiots with a shovel, they are then forced to use their weapons in self-defense.
And I'm sorry, I don't know how many of you guys are like in the military, have ever been in the military. Shovels are weapons. Shovels are weapons. You get a little spade, and you get it issued to you in the Army and in the Marines and every place else, and it folds in on itself, and you carry it with you, and you use it to dig a latrine or dig a trench when you're active and you're out. And you are also taught that it is a weapon, and it is a very useful, very effective tool that can generate a lot of bodily harm. So, like, trying to act like somebody swinging a shovel around at a law enforcement officer isn't the use of deadly force is beyond me.
But these activists never let inconvenient facts stop them from committing more felonies.
True.
As after they falsely accuse several random people driving SUVs of being ICE.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have to do this. I'm happy to do this. That's all.
It's so wild. We're not going to talk about this because we've talked about it numerous times. But the amount, the level that they are willing to sort of purity test people is getting insane. They will do everything they can to prove that you are on their side, and then even once you prove you're on their side, they will try even harder to purity test you, which includes telling you to buy a different car. This is. I'm not going to rewatch this whole video. We'll watch it while Decoy talks about it.
Yeah. Yes, he was here yesterday. I can testify that. I didn't recognize him.
No, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
I'm not here to help you.
No,
I think the fact that you're in a vehicle like this at this time
I get it.
is...
But with all due respect to everybody, I can't help the way I drive.
Well, you can. You go rent something else.
See, right there it was. Right there. I even told you it was going to happen, but it happened. You know, I get you're on my side. I get you're on my team. But could you be more on my team? Could you waste more of your money instead of driving a vehicle that looks like it could be law enforcement? Maybe go rent a different car. That way we, as civilians, stop stopping you and trying to enforce our rules and laws upon you, another citizen, that we have no right to do. But then we're going to be really freaking mad when ICE and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement show up and they try to enforce actual laws and they try to detain people who are actually here breaking laws. That is bad. But when we do it, it's completely okay. Minnesota wasting tax dollars, dude. Dude, this whole situation is so frustrating on so many different levels. And the worst part is, like it or hate it, it doesn't have to be the problem that it is. There is a shitload of like waste going on right now, but that's because you are not allowing people to come in and do their job, and you're making it 100 times worse, which means everybody is spending even more money to try to just come in and do something that we have done in numerous other states without this level of pushback.
Until they actually found a federal vehicle unattended and proceeded to destroy and loot it. Rummaging through its contents, looking for documents. Even pulling out a safe from inside.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I'm sure that you could get the plates numbers from that vehicle. They should be arrested. Basically they should be arrested. Any person that's like breaking windows, right? So like any person that's here.
Contents, looking for documents.
This person here should be arrested. Anybody that's stealing federal documents should be arrested. I mean, like, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing? Why are we pretending that this is okay?
Even pulling out a safe from inside.
What are we doing here? Dude, this isn't some third world country that this is happening in. This isn't some far-flung corner of the globe. This is literally happening in the richest country in the world. How are we allowing this to happen?
Put the mask on. Taking too much camera. Put the mask on.
Put the mask on. Make sure you don't go to federal prison for trying to break into this weapons locker that is in a federal vehicle that we're trying to break into, right? Like, make sure you pay attention. We don't want you to go to prison over breaking a law.
Hey, they call me El Diablo. Santeria.
I'm pretty certain everybody involved in this needs to go to federal prison.
Absolutely.
Worst case, they're stealing weapons that require a tax stamp. I'm certain none of them have. Somewhat better case, they're stealing confidential Fed documents that'll just make them rearrange their plans.
Well, the worst part is half these people probably don't even know what a tax stamp is or why you need a tax stamp to own these weapons.
Forcing them to absolutely flood the zone with 10x the amount of federal agents. And after I recorded this, Nick Sorter actually confirmed they found and stole a rifle out of that core.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Oh my.
Right, and they ended up arresting this guy, but I mean, I can understand that it probably took a while to find him because he's got you know, the face tattoo that everybody has, but I mean, can we really stop pretending that this is just like a regular, normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill, like, peaceful protest, that these people are here on, you know, acting in good faith, trying to just because they're so concerned with the rights of illegal immigrants that are being stepped on. Can we please stop acting like that at this point?
Hit some bullets.
As at the very least, they found documents in the vehicle that they even live streamed to everybody after finding. These activists have such a short-term mentality, as if stealing these documents was suddenly going to shift the momentum of their movement. And now that they have the current location and direction of the agents, they're not going to immediately switch up, shift their entire focus on the activists that stole those documents and potential weapons inside that safe. And all for what? Because their angry and undocumented individual got popped for attacking a cop with a shovel. As I can say,
the logic here is just, I guess, the lack of logic. The lack of logic here is what's so baffling to me. Because you're trying to, as Decoy said, like, because some undocumented immigrant attacked a customs enforcement agent with a shovel, that merits this type of vigilantism, this type of just lack of, I don't even know. Like, why are we trying to pretend that because the one happened that this is okay? Because it's not what's happening.
With absolute certainty, if somebody is willing to attack a Fed, their disregard for our laws don't end with that attack, and you definitely wouldn't want that person living next to your grandparents. But no, they can't comprehend any of these realities. They'll just screech, ICE is still attacking and kidnapping innocent individuals, which somehow results in them putting themselves in harm's way to protect the people that actually hate them. But at least ICE is getting more aggressive in arresting these activists.
I never said anything.
Well, this is almost infuriating after seeing everything that just happened, because these activists are getting arrested because they're low-hanging fruit. But what about all these like crazy pseudo-violent activists? Like, those are the people we should be going after. The problem is they don't have enough presence to be able to do that.
I never said anything.
Letting them know stalking and stopping law enforcement is indeed a crime. And if they don't comply, they will be forcibly detained.
This was a clip that was used everywhere, which is this woman getting pulled out of her car, and every time they left all of this out, which is showing that she is actively trying to get, like, arrested. Dude, how is this our reality right now? Like, how did we end up on this timeline, chat? No, I'm pretty sure you didn't move because you didn't want to move. You had all of the chances in the world to move, and you just elected not to. Stop acting like you were going to the doctor. You were never going to the doctor. Your whole job there was to get that rental car's window knocked out and then get arrested.
I honestly kind of find it sad that these grown adults somehow just discovered that these federal agents aren't just playing a fun little game of, I don't have anything more important to do with my life, so I'm making that your problem, and now you need to babysit me.
Well, yeah, she's definitely been rehearsing those lines all week, and if you go back and watch the clip, none of that was relevant until after they got her out of the car. And then after that, she was going to the doctor, she was going to pick up her kids, she's got a brain injury, she's disabled, I don't know, she's fucking autistic, whatever else they want to put in there just to try to make you feel empathetic and sympathy towards her. That type of emotional manipulation only works on people who have like 2 brain cells to rub together. Anybody that has eyeballs will go back and watch these clips and try to find them in their entirety, right?
No, ICE is going after dangerous criminals that not only traffic substances, but sometimes people for slavery, which somehow isn't an issue to them because their emotions aren't based on consistent values. It's just whatever the TV and social media feeds tell them to be angry over.
Absolutely.
The scary part being, it's not just the harmless ladies with more emotions and information. Like we saw in that other video, some idiots are even saying they'll bring weapons, to which they already are.
Get arrested. I'm not. Get the on the car before you get
assault. Just asked you for an ID. That was
I don't give a what you asked me for. Shut up. You shut up. Shut up. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? He has a gun on him. Look at that. A fully registered firearm. Because I'm a U.S. citizen.
This right here's another LARPer, man. He went out to make a clip. He went out to try to piss the cops off, to try to get them to put him in cuffs because he felt like he could use his looks to get them to come after him so he could have a gun, so he could be like, I'm a U.S. citizen, I'm allowed to have the gun, it's fully registered.
What's wrong with y'all?
The dude is just out there role playing as some victim activist.
Wow. Wow. Let's go.
Now this idiot might actually have his CCW to go along with the whistle he's also wearing, but it just goes to show the escalation that is occurring here. As first it was just imbeciles dancing in their vehicles while stalking and blocking the feds, and even she got tragically ended for her naive efforts. But now, it appears they're actually showing up with their whistle, resisting arrest while carrying a loaded weapon, which is sadly playing into exactly what the Democrat politicians want. They're practically begging for another sacrifice to start a hot conflict between a sanctuary city and the feds.
This is not going to end well. Like, we've talked about it numerous times in numerous videos. There's no possible way that this escalation, this escalatory rhetoric, and people, increasing amounts of people showing up, there's no possible way this ends well. We've talked about it numerous times. I don't see how this tit-for-tat escalation is going to stop.
As recently disgraced Governor Walz again suggests the feds are Nazis.
Going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans.
So here's what I'm going to say. I'm hearing a lot of this rhetoric about they're just going door to door, they're just pulling over random citizens, they're walking up to random people, just asking to see their papers. I have not really seen any footage of that. I've seen a lot of footage. I've seen a lot of people being detained. I've seen a lot of people being arrested. I've seen officers like asking people for items, asking people for ID. But I've never just seen them just randomly walk up to somebody on the street. And almost every time it happens that I've seen is people who are directly interfacing or interacting with these law enforcement officers. Even the video that was shown earlier about the woman in like the scrubs screaming, she was driving a vehicle that was either unregistered or was like known to be in the possession of somebody who was illegal. So they're using due process, as far as I can tell, to figure out who they're trying to target. But if you're in a crowd and there are hundreds or thousands of people around you and they're pressing you and they're impeding your investigation and they're bending or breaking the laws, then I think it's well within the ICE officer's right to go, hey, you with the whistle, you that's like preventing me from walking forward, show me your ID. I don't want to show it to you. You're impeding my investigation. Show me your ID. Well, no. And then you arrest them or detain them and find out they're a U.S. citizen. Well, yeah, but you were actively putting yourself in that position. It's not like they just randomly walked up to some dude at McDonald's and was like, hey, brother, can I see your ID? That's not what I'm seeing. People are being manipulated to walk into the wood chipper just so politicians can get power back. No, it's absolutely what's going on. And I think that there are a lot of people online that are calling this out, and I think that that's our job. Our job online is to help keep people honest and keep people from being manipulated and get people to ask the right questions.
Kidnapping innocent people with no warning.
I have yet to see a single instance of ICE going door to door, asking for the people of color so they can arrest them regardless of citizenship.
Absolutely.
And for him to make insane claims like that just shows how desperate he is.
Well, if you make, so here's the way this works. If you make an extraordinary claim, you need to have extraordinary evidence. There is no world in which you can just make a random claim and then your source can just be, trust me, bro. If you fall for that, you really need to reevaluate a lot of your life decisions. You should never ever take somebody at their word. If you are saying that the ICE, the Immigration and Customs officials are acting like Nazis, then you're implying that they're Nazis. And then I need to see video evidence of them doing the same thing as Nazis do in Germany. I haven't seen it. You're saying they're arresting U.S. citizens that are just existing in their space. I haven't seen it. Everything that I'm being told, I haven't seen. And all I'm hearing is just trust me, bro. Right, Han? I know everything, just trust me, bro. Everything I'm seeing is just trust me, bro. Because if this was happening and it was as widespread as they're saying it is, why aren't we seeing evidence of it? And every piece of evidence we've seen is a very deceptively edited clip. And if you go watch the clip, the longer clip in its entirety, the whole narrative falls apart.
Practically begging for more activists to get in the way.
Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record.
You absolutely have a right to do this, and I will agree. If you believe that ICE agents are overreaching, you absolutely have a legal right, to my understanding, to film them. 100%. You don't have a right to impede them. You don't have a right to interfere with them. You do not have a right to touch them. As far as I know, you should exercise caution when approaching them, especially in highly volatile situations, because you could look like an aggressor. There's a difference between observing a situation and interjecting yourself into the situation. And once you cross that line, you, in my view, no longer have the right to do all of these things.
Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
The more desperate he is to get the feds out of his state, the more guilty he looks for all that fraud. And the more they uncover, the more insane his claims will become. But at least Trump is finally cutting off their funding.
Starting February 1st, we're not making any payments to sanctuary cities or states having sanctuary cities because they do everything possible to protect criminals at the expense of American citizens, and it breeds fraud and crime and all of the other problems that come. So we're not making any payment to anybody that supports sanctuary cities.
I mean, I think you're going to have a hard time getting Americans, like your average American, to say no to that. Because the way it's going to be painted is these sanctuary citizens are taking in federal tax dollars, which are your federal, taking in your federal taxes, and they're using it to subsidize the lives of people who are here illegally. So instead of your tax money going to better schools, better roads, Social Security, Medicaid, any of these federal programs, it's going to subsidize people who shouldn't be here. And how do you realistically get people on board with that? The only way you can is by playing on their empathy, and the only people you're going to get on board with that is people who have enough, right? Who feel like they have enough and they're entitled and they're privileged. But right now, there are not as many people that feel like that because most people do not feel entitled, and most people do not feel like they already have enough. Most people are feeling pressured. They're feeling like they're living day to day, and they're seeing their dollar go less far. So because of that, they're less inclined to be empathetic.
As stopping the fraud is a start, but most Americans won't be happy until politicians are put into prison over this, where the theft of hundreds of billions of tax dollars was bad enough, but now it seems they're even willing to start a civil war just so they can continue to steal billions of our tax dollars.
Absolutely.
So if you appreciate my concise, lighthearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription and you'll subscribe to Decoy.
Guys, I love Decoy Voice. I love the way he talks about stuff. I think he does a great job. I think Decoy Voice is worth a sub and worth a like. I definitely think he's worth it. If you guys haven't checked out Decoy Voice, check him out. He does a good job of presenting info, and he does it in a way that he has a stance, but he uses humor and logic to just show the hypocrisy, and I really like that, and I really respect the man, and I respect the content he puts up. So if you guys haven't, definitely go check him out. You guys have to let me know what you think after all my additional commentary. You guys just getting tired of this like everybody else? It's to the point where this is all there is to talk about, because I think this is going to continue to escalate to a point where it boils over, and then we'll have to see what happens after the fact. Drive a 20-year-old car while these fraudsters are given free money to buy brand new cars and live in excess. That's my point, right? Like, that is my point, is people feel that way, right? So if you personally feel that way, then where are you going to be sympathetic? Because it's not like Han, you make a lot of money, and you are putting a bunch of money in your 401k, you're putting a bunch of money in a Roth, you're buying some individual stocks for fun on something like Robinhood, you're going out to dinner 3 times a week. If you have a family, you're going on 2 family vacations. And now, after doing all of that, then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, these poor like immigrants over here, or these poor undocumented illegals, they were here because their life was so bad. Like, can't we help them out? And you're sitting there going, yeah, I have plenty. Like, sure, I don't mind my tax dollars going to this. That is what used to happen when the world and the economy was better and people felt like they had additional money. The problem is people don't feel like that. So then when you are in a situation where you're driving a 10, 20-year-old car, you're barely putting what you can in your 401k. You might or might not have a savings account. You probably don't have a huge Roth, right? You don't have a ton of individual stocks. You're not taking 3 or 4 vacations a year. And now you're like, dude, I'm just trying to get by, brother. And my taxes keep going up. I'm seeing billionaires get giant tax breaks. I'm getting a little tax break. The cost of everything is skyrocketing. And then my tax money is not even going to ensure that I am going to be able to retire and live a decent life. Social Security is going to be gone. Medicare is probably going to be gone. Medicaid's like all of this stuff is gone. And now you're telling me that the taxes that I'm paying aren't even going to me. They're going to somebody else. I'm not okay with this. And it's not going to some mom that I know up the block whose husband left her, right? Some 18-year-old mom who got pregnant, and then her mom left her, or her boyfriend left her, and now she's like living in subsidized housing, and she needs money to pay for daycare so she can go get a job so she can try to get off the system. That's not what's happening. So all you're seeing is shit that's happening a million miles away from you, and you're being told that you're supposed to care about it, and if you don't, that you're a bad person. And that is, I think, where it's stoking the divisiveness and why it's so hard to get people on board with your cause. I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. I can only speak to what I see and the way I think, but I think a lot more people. I think a lot more people are starting to feel the same way, and it's sad, but that's the world that we live in right now. And I wish I was making more YouTube videos right now about, you know, whatever was going on in the news, or whatever the newest culture war was. DEI practices, DEI, you know, how it's affecting jobs, a bunch of these other things. But right now, the only thing anybody's talking about is Minnesota. And I think that Minnesota is being used as a political football and a battleground. And I don't think that either one side wants to give this one up. Because I said it earlier today. I do not think that, in my view, I do not see a world in which Donald Trump backs down. I just don't see it. Being able to cover good things would be better, but there's so much bad crap happening. Yeah, you can't help, but yeah. I mean, you just have to cover what's there, right? Like, it's fun to cover like more fun things. It's fun to cover other things, or like, you know, I'd love to cover like what was going on with the Fed, but nobody's going to really care about the Fed and the waste and abuse that's going on with the Fed and the $1 billion that could have been misallocated. Like, nobody really cares about that. Talking about like what's going on with the transgender rights and kids sports. Like, some people care about that. I think a lot more people did care about it, and a lot of people would be caring about it right now if it wasn't for what's going on in Minnesota. What's happening in Iran, like in Iran. I think a lot of people would be covering that, but the news isn't talking about it. Imagine just being able to cover some jackass type stuff instead of some stupid crap. Well, that's the thing. And then like even trying to find like YouTube videos to cover, right, that are just like more interesting topics and stuff. Like, nobody's talking about anything else, because this is the only thing anybody's talking about. This is the only thing anybody's talking about. And I think that, to circle back to my point, I don't think this is going to get better. I do not think Donald Trump just pulls troops out. In fact, I don't personally see a world that he does that. I think that he will double and triple and quadruple down until the what up, Stormer? I think he will double and triple and quadruple down until the protesters back down, or until they're arrested. Because he's not somebody, he wants to be perceived as like a strongman, right? He loves the strongman tactics. And in this situation, until the law proves otherwise, he's on the right side of the law. With sending in, ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, to go in and grab these people. Like, he's within his legal rights to do that. And the state and local aren't helping him out, which he feels is escalating the situation, which you could very easily argue is. And then you've got pundits, commentators, and politicians that are stoking divisiveness and stoking the fire. So they're amping up the rhetoric, and they're getting more people to show up to stand up against something that is, as far as anybody's concerned, absolutely legal. Well, he was elected to do it, to serve the people of the country, not these foreigners. I think that I've heard quite a few people say this, and I think that it's really hard not to have this stance, but elections have consequences. That's what everybody's always told. Elections have consequences, and those elections dictate mandates. So Donald Trump was elected on doing this. So then, whether you like it or dislike it, he was elected to do this. And when did it become okay to overturn an election just because you didn't like the results, right? Like, there was a huge pushback on that for January 6th. There were people who didn't like the elections. They showed up. January 6th happened. There was a bunch of pushback on that. A bunch of people got in trouble. That was perfectly fine, right? There was an overreach. There was a clear overreach there. And it was very clear that a large group of people were acting nefarious, right? Not everybody, but a large group were, and it got stoked and a lot of things, right? Like it's not really like an easy way to argue against January 6th, especially some of the stuff that happened. You can't really argue against it. But like, Trump was elected to do what he's doing, and these people don't like it. So instead of trying to vote in somebody else, vote in new politicians, they're just taking to the streets and they're trying to overturn an election. And they're saying, we don't like what you're doing. It goes against what we want. So we're going to go out and we're going to fight you tooth and nail, even though as far as anybody can tell, it's legal. So what do you do, right? Like, what do you do in this situation? And that's why I genuinely think I don't see Trump. I don't see Trump standing down. I don't see him doing it. And I think that he's going to continue to do what he's doing, and it's going to escalate more and more. And right now, if he doesn't enact the Insurrection Act, he will as soon as something bad enough happens. Because he's not going to step down. He's not going to back down. Because if he backs down, then the other side will be emboldened. And if they're emboldened, then what's happening in Minneapolis will just explode across the country. Into every city that has immigrations and customs in it, we'll see this exact same level of escalation. And I don't think that's good for the nation. So I think at this point, the only responsible thing to do is go, you know what? Stop. You guys are out here LARPing. You think you're freedom fighters. You're out here doing what you think is the right thing, but you're not. You're on the wrong side. What you're doing is illegal. You want to protest. You want to stand on the sidewalk. That's fine. But you don't get to come out here and break laws. If you break rules and if you break laws, we will arrest you. You want to protest, you want to blow your whistles, that's fine. You do not get to interfere with people. And I think that's what's going to happen. Because if you don't, then this is going to be what happens for the next 2 years. And you will have people actually getting hurt over it. Even 1 to 2 years before Civil War starts, I don't think that we're anywhere near a Civil War. I don't think that we're anywhere near a Civil War. And that's because I don't think that you can get anybody on board with these, right? Like, it's okay to like look at like immigrants rights and to discuss it. But I think you're going to have a hard time trying to get 30 to 40% of the United States population to be willing to take up arms against the United States military and another 30 to 40% of the population, and you're going to get them to do it because of illegal immigrants' rights. Like, I don't see a world in which that is a just enough cause that you can rally that large of the population around it and convince them to put their lives on the line. I don't see it. I don't think that you can make it happen. I don't think this is that much of a flashpoint issue. I don't think this is that big of an issue. I don't think trans rights for children is that big of an issue. I don't think reverse racism or like endemic white guilt is enough to get the population. Like, I don't think any of these issues are enough that you could get that many people willing to fight and die for it. I think it looks fun and it looks interesting, and it's like, it makes for a good conversation on like Twitter and Reddit. I just really don't think it's going to happen. I don't think any of these are a big enough flashpoint. I could be wrong, but even like the North versus the South, like it was about slavery and whatever, but a lot of it was about states' rights. There are so many things that went into it, and it was much easier to get a large group of the country divided because the country was geographically divided North versus South. And there were like clear standing like militia, militaries. Things were not as centralized as they are now. States had their own. It was so much easier. I don't want to say easier, but the lines were divided so much cleaner back then than they are now. Like, I don't see a world in which it happens. I just don't. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know what you guys think. But yeah, I don't see it. Maybe at one point, but not now. Maybe if things continue to get worse, maybe, but as it stands now, I don't see it. Guys, I think we're gonna go ahead and switch over and play some games. I think I'm gonna get up, get a drink, switch gears, and switch over and play games for the rest of Friday. I want to try to get through Final Fantasy, man, because I have other games that I want to play. I have other games that I do want to play, but I'll have to wait and see how it goes. But give me a second, guys. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna use the bathroom. I'll put the music back on for a second. I'm gonna use the bathroom, and then when I come back, we'll pick things up. We'll do some gaming. We'll hang out. We'll calm down a little bit. So give me a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Oh my, it's a sub.
Locomotive 18 just subscribed for 6 months.
Who gives sub? Yo, Locomotive, man, thank you for the resub, man. Wait, no way, not Al. Steve, thank you for the W in chat too as well, man. Thank you guys for the W's. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for supporting me, and thank you guys for supporting the channel. That's going to be interesting, Night Owl. Alright. Alright, let's get everything set up. Let's get everything set up so we can switch gears, right? Let's get everything switched up so we can switch gears. We're going to switch over to the other YouTube channel if you guys are hanging out on YouTube. We're going to play some games.